Welcome in, everybody, to our latest live broadcast. It is Wednesday, the 6th of May, 2026. My name is Kerry Holzman, and today we're going to review a new mini PC that we've never seen before. This is from GMKtec, and it's what's interesting about what's happening in the market is the cheap budget computers are getting priced so high that now the mid-range and upper-end computers don't seem so expensive anymore. So why I think that's a good thing is it means that when people have a choice and they have a choice to choose something good or something bad, and I'm going to say the word bad just in a general sense is less desirable, simply because the less desirable thing is cheaper, that rarely works out to be a solid purchase. It's a temporary solution, even if the people making that purchase don't realize what they're buying isn't going to last as long. Statistically speaking, there's always exceptions. And that when they have to go buy another one that much sooner, it would have been cheaper to just fork out the difference for the higher end machine that wouldn't need to be replaced for 2 to 3 times longer. So on the positive side of things, there is a incentive to buy something that's a little higher end, because the price difference now between the higher end and the lower end is maybe $100 or $200. That's it. It's not $1,000 difference anymore, or it's not twice the price. So that's the logic behind this unit. I went ahead and I saw this on Amazon as a bare bones unit and very aggressively priced. At bare bones, it's $350. And for what? Well, let me show you. Let's get into the screen capture here. Mara has placed the links in the video notes so you can follow along with me if you want to. But here is the GMKtec homepage for this order. And you'll see it $359.99 for bare bones, right? You got to put in your own RAM, your own storage, and your own SSD. And I'm going to talk about that in a second as well. If we scroll down, this is an Intel Ultra 5 125U, which you know I'm a big fan of this particular CPU because it's what nearly all of my business clients use. The business clients I have, they don't want AMD systems, and anything that's Celeron or i3 is just, for me, I don't want to put it in because I know it won't last as long. Typically, when I'm building them computers, those are 8-year builds, and we need to replace them probably at year 6 for a business. For a home user, they can keep them for 10 or 12 years. But for a business, the systems that I was building for them, this equally replaces today. Those i7s, those 9700Ks, yeah, check this out. An Intel Core Ultra 5 125U. Let's open up a new tab and type in Ultra 5 125U versus an i7 9700K, just to give you an idea of how much things have evolved in just a few years. So they 9700Ks just from, what is that, 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago, from 2018. When you're running older software that's like single core, then the 9700K is still superior. But most software doesn't run single core anymore, unless it's old software. But the Ultra 5 125U, if you're running multiple tasks at the same time, it's going to outperform that 9700K, and it's going to do it for half the price. So this is the way the technology is moving forward. If I click on this link here, let's see if we have a side-by-side comparison. It's not that one CPU cleans the clock of the other one. It's in certain categories one does better, and the new one's cheaper, right? This is $100 cheaper today than this processor, than this 9700K that you can still buy today. So you're going to pay less, you're going to get more. The 9700K doesn't have any hyper-threading on it. And not only is it cheaper, it's going to be, depending on how you use it, and there's, you know, the 9700K versus the Ultra 5. Depending on how you use it, it may be quite superior in your experience to the 9700K. And, you know, we were putting some pretty serious coolers on those 9700Ks, those big scythe coolers and Mugen coolers. Those are like $60 a piece. And when it's all said and done with memory and storage and everything else, that same computer today with memory and storage prices that I was building in a Corsair 200R, assuming we would even want to do that today, wouldn't be an $800 computer anymore. That would be more like a $1,400 computer, or damn near double. And I say that because the price of RAM and storage has gone up so much. So let me go back over to, and I'll let you guys dig into this if you want to see all the details, but you'll see that 9700K in a few things is still superior. But overall, in most things, the Ultra 5 is cheaper and far superior. So for my clients, that's an upgrade from what I sold them. So if I sold them 9700Ks they use today in those big Corsair 200Rs, for less than half the price, they could have one of these that we're going to review today, assuming it's as good as other GMKtecs, which I assume it will be, for half the price, and doesn't take up nearly as much space in the office. You can just sit it on the desk. Let me get back over to camera one. And if you can't tell, I'm kind of excited to be looking at this today because these are the kind of solutions I need for my customers. Every time I get these AMD systems to review, they're great for home users. They really are. They're good value. And a lot of the home consumer type use case may be better on AMD. It just depends on the end user, right? But I'm specifically referring to anything graphical, specifically video games. And that's all well and good. If I have a home user that wants to spend as little as possible and be able to do some kind of gaming, AMD is definitely the only option on the table. Just you can remove Intel completely unless you want to add a discrete graphics card, in which case they're both equal in that sense, because now your graphics are, they're the choke point in that example. So if you can afford the graphics card, then suddenly the budget, isn't so important. But if you've got nothing and you want something and you want to get the best amount for your money and you want to be able to game with it, then Intel isn't even something we're going to discuss. And the exact opposite is true on a business. It's completely flipped the other way because the price difference between the two of them isn't that much, but it seems like more to a gaming consumer who feels like, well, for what a video card would cost me, the AMD's far cheaper. And while it won't perform as good as a discrete graphic card, it's going to kick Intel's butt when it comes to gaming. And that's what consumers, quite often, if there's people that want that, it's consumers, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And since my main income doesn't come from consumers, it comes from businesses, then what I want to stock up on my inventory to be ready when the customers call and say, we need a new machine, I want to be able to provide them that solution immediately. But without testing them and evaluating these mini PCs, I don't have any suggestion. So it all starts here with these reviews to determine if that's something I want to deploy out to one of my customers, because it represents me. If this is crap, if it's loud, if it's hot, if it's unreliable, then I am hot, loud, and unreliable from the consumer, from the business perspective. The whole reason they're coming to me is to avoid all of that. Let's just order it from Carrie and we don't have to worry about it. And if something does happen, Carrie takes care of it. And there's an added cost to that, obviously, as it would be to have an added cost to have somebody come over to your house and install all your games for you and hook it all up for you and get it all ready for you. You would pay that person for their time. If you've got the money to pay that person for their time, then saving a few dollars from Intel or AMD isn't as important to you, right? Because that's nickels and dimes compared to everything else you're spending. The idea being that you spend it once and you're good for several years. You're not spending it constantly. So a lot of home users will do all this stuff themselves. And, I'm going to be straight up with you here. I love gaming. I really do. But since I've been self-employed, the only way I make money is if I work. I don't clock in and clock out like a regular employee. If I want to work the weekend, I work the weekend. If I don't, I don't. But I also don't make any money. So if I only want to work 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, I can totally do that. Don't ask me how the bills are going to get paid. So if you said to me, hey, look, we're all going to get together and we're going to play, I don't know, Counter-Strike. We're all going to play Wukong, Black Myth, right? Whatever. Do I want to? Yeah, of course I want to. Of course. But if there's other things I could be doing that are going to earn me money, and those things, if they wait too long, might just leave and go somewhere else to get somebody else to do it, I'd rather make the money. And if I do that at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, that's what I do. And that's why I do it. It's an opportunity that even if I have enough to pay the bills that month, I could build up a little bit of extra and maybe go out to dinner or a really nice dinner or treat myself. But I wouldn't consider sitting at home on the couch playing a video game as a reward for all that hard work I just did. I would rather be able to have somebody wait on me, right? Think about it like this. In a video game, you're still working. You're just paying to do the work. Why would I want to spend money that I work so hard to earn to turn around and do another job for free that I have to pay to do? Or go to a really fancy restaurant where, hello, sir, how can I help you today, sir? Is everything good? Can I bring you anything? And just kiss my butt and service me while I am the king, you know, for that one dinner and that one night out. And then I get the bill to pay for that, and I can pay it, and I can enjoy that. That's way more enjoyable to me as an adult than sitting at home playing on the video games and paying money to do it when I really just, I've done my hard work. Now let me take the fruits of my labor so that I can temporarily enjoy some of the nice things in life where somebody's taking care of me for once. It's just that it's expensive. So on the other hand, if I could afford it every day, it probably wouldn't be special anymore. So the fact that it is a bit expensive makes it rarer, and that makes it more valuable, more cherished, and I enjoy it that much more. But video games, it's flat across the board. It's always the same. It's either, you know, oh, this is frustrating and challenging, or hey, I got past the next level. And when you're all said and done and your hands are sore, maybe you've stayed up too late and your eyes are red, and you paid money for that just so you could wake up exhausted because of the fun, to turn around and go back to work. That's where it's changed. When I was a kid and I didn't have to go to work, or if my work was just delivering newspapers, you know what I mean, or something like that, then playing video games was a great way to spend some time, because otherwise I'd be bored. So prior to video games, I would read books. I read Dune and Battlefield Earth and 2001: A Space Odyssey and 2010 and 2061. A lot of Robert Heinlein stuff. All of that, the days before computers, was how I would entertain myself. And music, lots and lots of music with headphones cranked up really loud, and having a dog. Those were the three main parts of my life for the first 12 years of my life. After that, entering into the teenage years and getting a little taste of adulting and responsibility, I was looking forward to having my own money, because my parents never had any money. So if I wanted something, they didn't tell me I couldn't have it. They just said, we can't buy it, but if you go earn your own money, you could spend it on whatever you want. We don't care. So then I wanted to work so I could have the money. And because home life was so miserable, I wanted to move the hell out of that house as soon as possible. And if I could have done it at 16 legally, I would have been out of there at 16. I don't know how I would have paid for it, but I guarantee you it involved working. It wouldn't be from playing video games. So there's this transition that then happened where I would play video games less and less as time went on, until eventually it just wasn't important to me. It's not like I just stopped one day. It just became something I weaned myself off of just naturally, because other things in life, other opportunities were coming up at the same time, and I had to make a choice. Do you want to stay home and sit on the couch and play these games, or do you want to go out with your friends? Do you want to go to that party? Do you want to go out on a date? I would rather go out on a date than play a video game. Okay, well, you got to pick one or the other right now, because the date's coming up, or you're going to play games. Which is it? You got to make a choice. And eventually the choice kept happening to be other things other than gaming, because before, when I was a kid, I didn't have those choices. Now as an adult, I do. So I still love gaming. I just wish there were more hours in the day. That's all. So I don't want you to hear my negative attitude about gaming. It's not negative. It's just when it comes to my business, when it comes to gaming, I would be out of business. I wouldn't have a business because of gaming if that's all I did. And that's all I'm trying to stress, right? If you want to do this as for a living, people will be depending on you. No differently than a surgeon. You got a heart surgery that you need to have, it's life-saving. Where's your doctor? He's not here yet. Wasn't he supposed to be here? He was. Come to find out, he just wanted to finish one more level of Call of Duty. How pissed off would you be if you found that out? So, as an adult, the consequences are very different. As a child, one more level before I go to bed and I'll be tired tomorrow, but so what? Life changes. But that doesn't mean I'm opposed to video games. All right, I just wanted to clarify that. Because the other thing I want to talk about is RAM and SSD pricing. We've been very, very lucky here to have such a supportive community that we were able to buy RAM and storage a couple of years ago. When it was on sale, I would buy it because I was going through a lot of it. And I said, well, I'm going to need it anyway. So why not just get it when it's on sale? It's not going to go bad sitting on the shelf, but it does depreciate. Whatever I pay for it, it will likely sell for less, and I will lose money on it. But if it's on sale, right, then I'm getting a better deal. So let me buy the absolute limit of how many I can buy or how many I can afford of solid state drives or RAM and just stock up on it. That way, as the price continues to depreciate, I've got a bigger window to break even, but I will eventually lose money on it for the convenience of not waiting to order it and then paying whatever price it happens to be at that time, assuming it's in stock. So that was the logic. I did not know these prices were going to explode. And it just so happens, just by sheer luck or just the way I'm planning, that it built a little nest egg for me, that this impact on price, or this change in price, has had no impact on me because we've got so much of it. Now, let me show you, before anybody starts asking for me to sell it, we don't have that much. We have enough to keep the channel going, which I hope the prices will come back down. This whole crisis and shortages will be over. But if I sell it, then I don't have it, and I don't have it to make content with. So when it's all said and done, and you can get it cheap, then I'd be looking to sell it. Just so you understand, if I need it and I have to go pay these prices, it's probably going to result in us not being able to afford to make the video. So take this video, for example. We paid for this machine. GMKtec did not send it to us. $350, $360 without RAM, without storage. But here I've got a brand new TeamGroup DDR5. These are 2 sticks of 16, that's 32 gigs. And brand new, I guess I've opened it. This is a 1 terabyte Beijing S880 NVMe drive. Now, when I bought this, it was probably $90, close to $100, and I bought several of them. You know, 10 of them is $1,000. That's a lot of money. I didn't know the price was going to go up, but that hasn't gone up that much. So this is like $160 today. So it's like 50, 60% more in price increase, but that's not, you know, on $100, it'd be different if it were $1,000. There's a bigger difference between $1,000 and $1,600 versus $100 versus $160. So this is not that big of a deal. This, however, this is jaw-dropping. Do you know how much money this costs today? Let's see if I can show you. Let's go to the video notes, and here is the same RAM that I bought. This is what I'm holding in my hand. I bought this in 2023. It's been sitting on a shelf for almost 3 years because business slowed down. After I stocked up on all these parts, it was good for a little while, and then it started to slow down. And then I realized I might have overbought. But then this happened, and I realized I may not have enough. I had no idea any of this was coming. But this explains why I'm in the position I'm in, because of the logic that I use, which is just dumb luck in this scenario. But let's take a look here. This is stupid ridiculous. $588.99. This isn't fast. It's only 4800 speed, and it's 2 sticks of 16. But here's the part everybody forgets. When this RAM, when DDR5 RAM came out, it was quite a lot more money than DDR4. And so if I bought this in, let's say, July of 2023, it wasn't the cheap price you're remembering. It's funny the way the human mind works, isn't it? Does anybody want to guess what I paid for this in July of 2023? About twice what DDR4 would have cost. Let me take a look in the chat and see if anybody's got any guesses. $160? No, we paid a lot more than that. This is what I'm saying, the human mind. When DDR5 first came out, during the first 6-8 months that it was available in the market, you could about double that. David Graham says 250. You're pretty much on it, David. So from 250 to 588 isn't that, I mean, it's more than twice, all right? But it's not as extreme as the way the human mind places it in your memory. More than likely what you're thinking of is the lowest price you ever saw it at compared to the highest price you've ever saw it at. You're taking two extremes and you're comparing them, when in fact that's not the way it worked out. Initially, let me pull up the receipt. We found the receipt on this. This is the real receipt right here. This was $212.97, but there was nearly $20 in sales tax. So we're looking at $231.30, and that was July 31st of 2023. And that same RAM today is $588. So it's not the extreme that people are using, where, you know, if we hit camel, camel, camel on this particular item here, well, let's do that just out of curiosity, to just get grounded in what's really happening and how bad is it really compared to the hyperbole and exaggeration that exists online. Yes, it's priced higher, but you can still get it. It's not like, oh, it's completely sold out. That'd be a different problem. Let me get back over to Amazon's. Let's do this. We'll go to camel, 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 and let's see the pricing history on this RAM, just to keep everybody, again, grounded. And it is more expensive today, but not the extreme people are making it out to be. So let me show you the graph, because this graph explains it exactly the way I did, except it shows it visually. What you're going to see is when the RAM first came out, it was priced about here. And as time went on and production increased and supply increased, prices started going down. And then they kind of stayed really low. From where they came up, they about dropped in half. But then it quadrupled from that lower price, but only about doubled from its original. So it's not as the exaggerated perspective that people choose to put together in their head to make it sound much more dramatic than it really was. It's a choice people make when they're trying to, you know, say, oh, I'm a victim and this is a ripoff. So they're going to choose the most extreme cheapest price and the most extreme price, most expensive, and then they're going to say, well, here's what I paid for it, which isn't likely, and then here's what it is today. And look, it's 4 times more than it was. No, that is not likely the real world scenario. It could be, but that's not likely. So let me pull up this page and just, you know, put my money where my mouth is here. And let's take a look at this chart. Because Camel, Camel, Camel has been tracking the price of this RAM since it was introduced at nearly $250. And that's in July of 2023, right? That's what year that is? It just says July. So this is pretty much when the RAM was introduced to the market. And anything that's brand new, you know, you're going to pay a premium for it. But then, September, same prices. November, we see a dip. December, nothing really. January, no. February, a little bit of a dip. March, a little bit of a dip. So now from July all the way to let's go to, let's say, September. That's over a year right here, just between July and July, in 12 months. More than half of those months, those prices were pretty high. Then it dropped down. Let's say July of 2024 is probably the good years that people are thinking of. But they kind of wavered and started going back up again. So by next July, it was more expensive already without any marketplace excuses. And then it stays within the certain, whatever that is, 8% range or 10% range in price until the following July. So really, you only had essentially 2 years of these low prices. You had 1 year of a pretty high price, or most of the year, when it was introduced. Then it drops down for 2024 and 2025. And then right at the end of 2025, right around November, October, November, that's when I was warning everybody, if you're going to buy it, you better buy it now. Remember I said that. And then this line, instead of gradually moving up, it just spikes. So in just from September to May to right now, which is far less than a year, the price has spiked to its current high price. It's never been higher than this. So we couldn't pick a more extreme, exaggerated example than to pick the worst it's ever been in the entire history of the product's existence. To compare it to the lowest price, which would be taking you to a specific point in time, not to the beginning. Now, how you would compare the end to the middle, that's a weird logic. But if we're going to compare the beginning to the end, then the price difference is still pretty extreme. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as extreme as people online make it out to be. That being said, I would not pay $588 for 32 gigs of RAM. You've got to be out of your mind. So we wouldn't be making this video. You understand? We're only making it because we just happen to be in a position that the RAM's just sitting here. The whole reason it was purchased was for making video content. And it just so happens we set ourselves up pretty good for that. Otherwise, the only way I would be able to buy these to review them would be to make sure that they came with RAM and storage already, because it's cheaper than doing it yourself. So when I tell you this is a good deal, I'm assuming you already have your own RAM and storage you can use. But if that doesn't apply to you, this isn't such a good deal for you if you've got it, because this is not the good deal. If you don't already have this, just forget bare bones. Don't even do it. So I wanted to get that sort of out of the way, because I don't want people to, leave comments going, well, that's all well and good if you got the RAM. Agreed. I absolutely agree with you. If you get a machine that has the RAM soldered down, like low power DDR5 or low power DDR4, it's going to be even cheaper, and it'll be better memory that's faster. And it's going to save you money, and it's more reliable, and it's probably going to be a thinner laptop, thinner mini PC. Oh, but then I can't upgrade it. Yeah, well, this ain't 1997 anymore. You don't really need to anymore. There's certain people that might need that, but those certain people won't let a few $100s stop them. They'll still do it. For the rest of us that are just doing it to keep up with the Joneses, because it's fun to just add stuff we don't need, and to spend money we don't need to spend because we're being manipulated by content online to make us feel like we're being left behind. It's a real stupid reason to spend money. I don't advise my clients that they should be keeping up with their competitors. I could give a rat's behind what their competitors are using for software. I don't care. I care about what are my customers' unique needs, because they're not going to be exactly the same as anybody else. What is their budget? What software are they using, and what does it require? And how do we get them to meet all of those needs without going over the top and over the budget, but also not going under the budget and kind of scraping along going, well, it's good enough. I'm not looking for good enough. And I'm not looking for overselling my clients because there's more profit in it. Because that also has consequences where the customers go, wow, the computer's fast, but it's really warm. The fans get loud. The other computer we had was quieter. This one's distracting us from work. Can we get something else? I don't want that phone call. And that's why the Ultra 5 fits perfectly in that, without saying, well, to save money, let's go get you a computer from 4 years ago. Because there are many PCs that are using CPUs that came out 4 to 6 years ago being sold brand new. And it used to be a significant price savings to, get a CPU that's older like that. But now what's happening is some of those CPUs, like an AMD Ryzen 3550, good luck finding a graphics driver, because AMD says we don't support that anymore, even though you just bought it. So if your argument is, hey, this isn't cool, I just bought this brand new, I took the shrink wrap, how can you tell me that CPU, the video built onto that AMD, isn't supported anymore? And AMD will tell you, oh, we're not supporting it. That doesn't mean the company you bought it from doesn't support it. You have your warranty, but we have nothing to do with GMKtec or Minisforum, right? If they want to put that chip in, we'll still sell it to them. And we will provide a base driver, reference driver for them, and they will need to be the ones who provide it to you. You can still look through our database at the AMD drivers website and find the old driver. Those are still available to download. But what they're going to recommend you do is get the one from the manufacturer. Don't come to AMD for it. But if you buy a modern chip, like this is the Ultra 5, it just came out, what, 2 years ago? Drivers are from Intel, drivers are from the manufacturers, drivers. They're rampant, easy to find, no big deal. So that's the downside of buying the older chips, with the upside being, think of the money you save. But what if the difference in savings is only like $100, and now you can go from that old unsupported chip to this new, fairly new release chip? And the price used to be, nearly double. Now the price difference is only like $100, maybe 150 tops. So all of a sudden, you can have a much better machine than you were willing to accept, because that's all I can afford as the logic, and then have to deal with all those headaches. Whereas with something newer, you won't have those headaches until you reach that same period of time, in theory. So for that reason, I said this looks like a really interesting concept for $360. We already have the RAM, we already have the storage, so let's build it. So you're going to end up with what is essentially over $1,000 worth of a computer. At 160 for the storage and 588 for the RAM, let's just round it up, say 600 plus 160, $760 plus $360 bare bones for that, plus $25 for an operating system. Where are we at? So 360. Let's round it up. Let's say 360 plus the 600 for the RAM, 160 on the storage. That's just 1 terabyte of Gen 4 storage. And let's say 160 and 600 is $760. Let's round that to 800, even though you can pick up a Windows license cheaper than that. So you're at $800 just for the storage, RAM, and OS, and then add that 360 of what this costs. So now you're at $1,150. And you might say, well, geez, for $1,150, I could get an even higher end PC than this from GMKtec, like an AI 470, top of the line flagship for $1,360. It's already got the RAM in it and more RAM. It's got like 48 gigs of RAM instead of 16, because it's probably low power DDR5, so they could put more in there and it's going to be faster, and it's not going to sell for as much money. And now suddenly you went from you see the logic? You went from the cheapest thing, lowest end budget you could buy, to say, well, for a little bit more, I could get a significant increase in performance. But then when you add on the cost of RAM and storage, if you're buying it separately as a bare bones, and the cost of your operating system, then suddenly you may only be a couple $100 away from the flagship that already has all that in there and has more of it in there than what you were going to buy. And what it has is faster. So suddenly we will go from the cheapest extreme to the most expensive extreme, and the difference between them starts to become minimized because they all need that RAM and storage. Would you buy a $200 computer and then stick, how much did I say this was? 588 and 160, $760 in RAM and storage in your $200 computer. That doesn't make any sense. So that's why I'm saying these budget machines aren't the value they used to be unless they're already coming with RAM and storage. And if the RAM is soldered on, it'll be a better value all the way around. You'll get faster RAM, more reliable RAM, and the price will be cheaper. And the machine will be even thinner. So for everybody that turns their nose up at soldered in RAM, they must be wealthier than the rest of us. Most people never upgrade the RAM in their computer. Most. The people that buy Dells and HPs never open them the entire lifetime that they have it. Especially if it's an all-in-one computer, nobody opens those and upgrades it. When I say nobody, what I'm saying is the vast majority, 96% or so, will never open those machines. They'll never have a problem with them. They'll never need to upgrade anything. It'll start getting slow, or maybe it's not Windows 11 compatible and now we have to replace it, but otherwise it even still works. And then when we see them, they're just coated in dust and you can tell they've never been opened before. That is your average computer sale. What we're seeing here online are enthusiasts that do not represent the masses and do not care about the same things the masses care about other than price. That's what you guys have in common. But at the same time, you're still getting what you pay for. But this emphasis that you think you're getting less because you can't upgrade the RAM, it's the other way around. You're getting more for less money because you can't upgrade the RAM. And the need to upgrade the RAM used to be something that was pretty critical back in the day as things were still evolving. But even the software and the hardware have sort of reached a pinnacle or an apogee, and they've kind of leveled off over the last few years. And that's why you can still use a 10-year-old computer today just fine. So be careful what you wish for. Those days of needing to upgrade as frequently as we did, those are long gone now. Everything is kind of smoothed out. So the increases we're seeing from one generation of CPU to the other are 8%. Really? All of that for 8% more? It's already probably faster than you're using anyway. But you know, some people never have enough. It's like gluttony. It's like, oh, my car has 300 horsepower. Well, mine's got 400. And there's some guy with a Bugatti Veyron with 1,300 horsepower. Why? Why? Just flaunting? Just boasting? Yeah, there's a personality trait you really want to embrace and endure, right? It's like, oh, this is, or endear. This is somebody I want to be. I wish I could be a jerk flaunting and showing off like all these other people. Do you? Because that's not what I would ever want. So I want what's good for me. I don't care what's good for anybody else, and I don't care if anybody likes it. If it's a good deal for me, and it's the ugliest computer that you've ever seen and you can't stand it, good. Then I know you won't steal it. Good. If I'm happy with it, it's all that matters. And then when you want to play a video game against me and I kick your butt, it's not because of the computer. It's because of the skill of the gamer. And vice versa. You kick my butt, it's not because you got a faster, more expensive computer. It's that you're more skilled and spent more time practicing in the game that build up your talent. So the computer isn't going to replace talent. All right. Starting to sound like my dad. Let me say hello to everybody joining us today. Let's see who we've got in there. Hello to Sean Skinner, David Graham, Dustin Fuller, Jose Lopez with a $1 super chat. Thank you, Jose. 3D Everything, our channel administrator, Marlena, hanging out with everybody today, who does our thumbnails and all our video descriptions and links. 3D Everything says hello, as well as Gary Tatum, Jonathan Fells, David Herzog, Mark Leibowitz. I also see Jim Kenny, Mark Gaines, Luke Greenia. Luke says he got his laptop 2 days earlier than expected, and it arrived in perfect condition, and he's happy with it. So that's anxiety removed, and now I just have anxiety about Frankie getting his computer okay, which I'm sure will be fine because it's a mini PC, but I want Frankie to be happy with the work I did. So until he gets it and runs it, we'll hear back from him and see if there's any other concerns. And if there isn't, then that anxiety's gone. I worry about it till I hear back. I'm like an overbearing mother. Ben Laird joins us from Scotland and says hello. There's Michael Lavelle saying hello, and Xander Vanderhoven. Andy W6AD joins us along with Bradley Morris and Alberto Gomez. Welcome in, guys. There's Soul Clinic and Mad Turian saying hello in our chat room. Please join us in the chat room. Pop in, say hello. We'd love to see you. Well, we're live. These videos are meant to be interacting with you. They're not meant for you to just stare at me. It's kind of creepy. Come on in and say hello, for crying out loud. Let's see. We've got MLBT said reviewing the GMKtec K15 to use USB4 to 10 gig Ethernet or 2.5 gig dongle and connect to a desktop NAS Synology and or a Ugreen desktop NAS. Yeah, you can totally do that. If that kind of speed is important to you, again, that's an enthusiast level of performance that most end users won't have probably for at least another 10 years. You know, if 10 gig starts becoming the default standard on motherboards and stuff and on switches and routers, for most end users, they don't know what any of this stuff means. And for most people that are that demanding, they're better off buying their own components so they get the chipset they want or who controls the network card. So to be that specific and that finicky, but expect it to be pre-built to that level of expectation might be a big ask, but we'll see. We'll see how this turns out. Buster joins us, says he just popped in to say hi. He's going to catch up tomorrow. He's been up since 4 in the morning. Geez, that's when I went to bed, Buster. Well, you get some rest, my friend. He says the temperature in Edinburgh right now is 46 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's probably, what, 10 o'clock at night over there. That's 7.7 degrees Celsius. We'll be hitting 100 degrees Fahrenheit by the end of this week, according to what I read on the news. Or within the next 7 days, we'll be hitting 100 degrees, and it's probably going to stay that way until November, late October, I suppose. I'm not ready for it. I would gladly trade you, Peter. But thank you to Peter, Buster, our friend who sends us an Amazon gift card in lieu of Super Chat at every show. Every single show he does it. And today, he bumped up the amount a little bit there. Nearly 4 times the amount what he normally contributes. Thank you so much, Buster, for your continued support, your generosity. I'm sorry to hear that you've been up so late, but maybe you just let my voice drone on and it'll put you to sleep. Any way I can help. Dazzle555 says hello. Mark Leibowitz says, Carrie, I've got your next Deco AP. It's a Deco BE25 outdoor. It's for those balmy days when it's only 100 degrees Fahrenheit out, and you want to work on the patio. It's IP65 rated, so the cloud burst doesn't hurt it. Well, I would assume you'd be under a patio or something, wouldn't you? In which case, it'd be kind of excluded away from the weather. You know, the Deco mesh system we have here, Mark, extends well into the backyard, well into the front yard, and even into the neighbors' homes. It's very powerful. I've argued with Mara about the fact we don't need 3 of these units. Probably 1 or at most 2, 1 for the second floor, 1 for the first floor. But because it came in a kit of 3, she insists we need to use all 3. To say our coverage is good is understating it, because everywhere you go in this place, it's a 5-star or 5-bar rather signal strength, even outside. It's ridiculous. But for that reason, we don't need to have it outdoors. We don't have a big property. We're in, suburban Phoenix, which means, all the houses are kind of close together. It's not like I'm in Michigan where you've got an acre and a half property per house. out there in the western side of Michigan. You start getting into the modern suburbs, and of course, modern day developers, they want to build as many houses as possible on the same amount of land. So where you might be out on the western side of Michigan where there's older construction, they used bigger plots of land back then. Today, they'll buy the same plot of land, they'll try and put 6 houses where there was 1 house before. They make more money. And then you're right next door to your neighbors. If their house catches fire, so will yours. If they're having an argument, you get to hear it. So it's not that bad here. This property was built in the 70s, so it's got a decent amount, maybe 1/3 of an acre, which is pretty big for Phoenix. But because of that, the Wi-Fi needs are rather simple. If we had a bigger property and we were gonna, want Wi-Fi access walking through the woods of the acreage, maybe something like that would be really ideal. Your Deco BE25 might be good in that scenario. John Lewis says hello from south of the equator in Brazil. There's Frankie B saying hello. Welcome in, Frankie. Tom Jackson says hello. I haven't seen Tom in a while. Good to see you, Tom. Maelstrom, greetings from Italy. That's Marco. Hey, Marco. How do they say hello in Italian? How do I forget that? Sure, he'll tell me. And then I'll say, oh yeah. Intro Jan Sports said, I bet if you occasionally streamed on Twitch for fun, people would watch. People love your personality and follow because of who you are. We do sometimes, anytime we do an interview and we use the StreamYard software, that's always on Twitch. It's not, I don't know if you've looked, but we have a library on Twitch. We just don't do it very often, once a month or something. And the views aren't anything that make me go, oh, I'm really missing out if I don't do it. But, maybe you do it regularly, then the people will come. Maybe they won't. But at this point right now, we have, apart from StreamYard, we're just only broadcasting on YouTube. At some point, we might decide to simulcast like StreamYard does to Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, maybe even Instagram or Snapchat. I forget which one you can do live interactions. Wherever David Dobrik went, I think it's Instagram. But I don't even have an Instagram account, so. And TikTok, that's just basically all commercials and sales. It'd be like if I went over to the school playground and started playing on the playground equipment. Somebody might look at me and say, why don't you grow up? Aren't you a bit old to be acting that way? That's what I feel like if I went on TikTok. I feel like, why are you? It's kind of creepy to see some old guy hanging out with a bunch of children. Maybe it's not really that way, but that's how I perceive it. So I don't think you'll ever see us on TikTok legitimately. If I'm on there now, it's because someone's stealing my content. I'll take the exposure. I mean, it's not like they're getting rich off of it. I wish. Whoa, I got a frowny face.
I am disapproving. You do have an Instagram account. It's your channel account. I manage it.
Oh, okay, my bad. I do not have an Instagram account. I didn't say if you had one.
Your channel does.
I didn't say my channel did. I said I don't. I was not wrong, but I also wasn't clear because I didn't know.
Nice correction.
Smooth. Or always want to see more viewers, right? And sometimes you got to go where the viewers are. In China, there's a big site like YouTube called Bilibili, and we're on Bilibili. The problem is we're in English. And well, as popular as the English language is, or the British might say you don't speak English, you speak American, whatever. The videos don't do well in China because, well, quite frankly, I'm a foreigner and people tend to sort of be birds of a feather and enjoy the relatable content from people like them in general. And I'm nothing at all like them. And I don't speak their language, and I don't look like them, and I don't sound like them. And the speed at which I talk might make it difficult for them to understand me. And while we're having auto dubbing and translation services introduced here, it'd be great if Billy did that. And that has the potential to be larger than YouTube because China has a bigger population, as does India. So if we really wanted more viewers, since these computers are sold all across the planet, then we would explore every possible opportunity except the amount of time that takes with no guarantee of return on investment to set it all up and upload all the content and thumbnails and titles and descriptions. You know, there's only so many hours in the day. But his stuff is getting easier. You know, as far as being able to have a YouTube channel used to require thousands of dollars in equipment and knowing how to use that equipment. And if you've been with me this whole time, you saw my learning process, getting the lighting and the colors and the frame rates and the bit rates, the bit rate of the upload getting correct so that it's not too high, not too low, we're not buffering. These days, you just download an app on your phone, something like Prism, put Prism on your phone, and you can go live using the microphone, the camera, and everything. That's probably better in your phone, modern day phone, far better than the original cameras I was using. They would even probably give these cameras I'm running right now a run for their money, and these cameras are $4,000 a piece. So suddenly the phone doesn't seem like a very expensive item, and you take it with you. I can't take, well, I suppose I could take these with me, but I'm going to need more than a selfie stick to hold them. They're pretty big and heavy. So I imagine that broadcasting or simulcasting to other platforms is going to continue to get easier and easier and easier. And I'm just kind of waiting for that, where all I have to do is click a button. Some places started that, like Rumble and Odyssey, but then they pulled back because they couldn't afford to keep doing it. And then YouTube also pushed back, where I said, okay, just grab all of my content automatically and post it to Rumble. It was an option Rumble used to offer. You authorize it, you prove that you're the owner of that YouTube channel, and then you don't have to keep uploading to Rumble. Rumble does it on its own. And YouTube said, we're going to take you to court and we're going to shut you down if you don't stop this at once. And Rumble was also, you know, still having financial struggles, so they can't afford to go to court. And it was probably in their best interest to save bandwidth and cost to turn that feature off. But by doing so, that means when they were matching the content on YouTube for the content creators that wanted it, they're probably getting less content now, which means even though their expenses go down, probably the number of visits went down too. This stuff gets pretty complex. The fact that YouTube has sustained as many years as it has and continues to perform, it's not going to last forever. And nothing ever does. I think that's something we learned in my generation was you never want to just have one job. We saw our parents stay with a company for life. You know, they get the gold watch, they have their own little office. When I went to my first real job and it was all cubicles, I didn't know what a cubicle was. I thought everybody had an office with a door, little picture of their family and a phone on the desk. That's what I thought I'd be doing when I was older, something behind a desk. No. No, I was put into a corral of cubicles. All look the same. They're all gray, like at Intel, and just floor after floor. It's just like looking at a parking lot. Letters of rows and numbers of columns, and that's how you'd find somebody. If they said, I need my computer repaired, I'm in building C4, cubicle C7. Right? That's not confusing at all, is it? And in these buildings, they would call it a campus. They would be buildings that are all on the same piece of property. And in this case, at Intel, they were all attached. And if you're at the first building and you need to go all the way to the last building, plus you got to go up or down stairs to find one computer, how do you find it? So then you go, okay, you start taking the walk. You bring your tools, you bring what you need. Maybe even you have a cart full of tools and you wheel your cart and you walk through building 1. And by the way, the first 2 weeks, you don't know how to get anywhere. It's such a maze. And you think, oh my gosh, you know, how am I ever going to make a career here? I can't even find how to get out of the building. But after a couple weeks, you go through the same pattern over and over again, and you don't even think about it. So, you know, that was the initial concern, is I'm never going to figure out how to get there from here. But, you know, you ask, hey, am I on the right way to get the building? I'm in C1, I need to go to C2. Okay, I'm in C2, I need to go to C3, because I need to work my way over to C5. So how do I get to C? I'm not going to ask how to get to C5. Those instructions are going to be this long. I won't remember what they say. I just want to know, how do I get to the next attached building? Is it down this hall to the left? Okay, and you go through there. And then the fun of it was finding, oh, there's a cafeteria that's the size of a football field in here. I didn't even know it was here. That's different from the food court over at the other building, which has a little Taco Bell and a little Pizza Hut stand. They have these little portable kiosks. It was so cool. Anyway, so you get over to C5, and then you're looking for cubicle, let's say C7. So then the rows and the columns are letters and numbers, just like a parking lot. But each cubicle, especially in the middle, maybe not along the edges, because the edges usually had the offices with the windows that the bosses would be assigned to. And the cubicles, for the most part, were in the center. And then there's 4 cubicles to each pole. There's a pole coming down from the ceiling. And that has all the electrical cables and network cables, and it powers all 4 sides of the cubicle. So that would be, let's say, row C, column 7, whatever. And you knew it was one of those 4, but you didn't know which one of those 4. But you narrowed it down to those 4. So you'd go there, or I would go there, let's say, and maybe 3 of them were empty, and only 1 of them had somebody sitting at it because those people had the day off, or maybe they weren't assigned to anybody yet. Sometimes it just worked itself out. You're like, oh, I'm here to fix your computer. No doubt, because they're the only ones there. Other times you'd go and there'd be every single spot taken. And at that point, there's usually a name. There'll be a name on the ticket. And there's usually on the outside of the cubicle a little tag with somebody's name on it. So you don't have to keep bothering people. Just walk around it until you match the name on the cubicle to the name on the ticket, because you know it's one of those 4. Hi, I'm Carrie. I got your help desk ticket here about solving your computer problem. Then you can get to work and do the job. That's very different from what home users do sitting at home. And I loved it. I loved it because it got me out. You know what I mean? And I wasn't having any boss breathing down the back of my neck. I could walk slowly. I could just take my time. I can even say, oh, I wonder what's down this hallway. They didn't care. So long as I was getting the amount of work done at a minimum that they needed to see on average over a period of time, they leave me alone. And on top of that, I really enjoyed the people I worked for. I didn't care for most of my bosses, but the actual people I did work for, oh, so rewarding. Anyway, these days now with remote access, I imagine we don't have to do as much of that. But that was every day for me, 5 days a week. I got a lot of walking in. So it's good exercise too. The best way I could explain it to you is, imagine if you've ever been on a college campus and you're looking for a specific building. So you walk onto Arizona State University's property. I don't know how many acres it is. It's massive. And you say, where's the cafeteria? Well, that one's kind of in the middle. Okay. As you're walking to it, you start looking at the names of the buildings. Biology, science. They even had a radio station, which I was lucky enough to know somebody who invited me in to DJ with him on a regular basis. And we had a great time because it was the local AM station that was pretty much just Arizona State University broadcast range. And it was funny because you'd wonder if anybody's listening. Anybody listening? But do a giveaway. Hey, we've got a record album here we're going to give away, and it could be the 10th caller, and the phones light up. And you go, oh, someone is listening. Look at that. Not just one call, like a whole phone board lit up. Wow, that's cool. So I had some good times over at Arizona State University, and it's a lot of walking. And then if you stay at a dorm, then walking from the college campus to the dorms, depending on which dorm you're in, they're across the street. They're across the street to the north, they're across the street to the south, they're across the street to the east, and they're across the street to the west. As wide, as big as that campus is, there are dorms all around it because there's so many students. And if you've got to walk from one extreme to the other extreme, you're going to get some good shape, especially when it's 110 degrees outside and you're carrying a backpack full of books or something. So in any event, working at Intel was more similar to being at college than it was the way I pictured like what my dad did for a living. What we started to notice is how frequently companies would lay people off no matter how loyal you were to them. So a lot of people that are in my generation, we have multiple income streams because we learned that early on. You just can't trust one company to pay you. I'm self-employed and I have YouTube as an income stream. I have my job as an income stream. I have, you know, if I want to sell things on eBay, if I want to provide other services that I'm willing and capable and have time, I'll do it. You know, I've authored books, I've authored articles online, and they pay you just per book and per article. So you can't live off, I couldn't live off of it, but it was a little extra income coming in. So if I lost any work, I wasn't completely flat broke. I'd be hurting, but I'd still have some money coming in. And to this day, that's the same philosophy I have. And I eventually became self-employed because when you're working for someone, there's no time to really have a second job, at least not for me. So I was really hoping for the best. I like them, they like me, this will go on forever. No. People change too quickly, and business ownership changes, philosophies change, and you end up just being the collateral damage to it all. And you didn't do anything to deserve it, and it's just tough times, and too bad, so sad. Maybe you'll get a couple of weeks' pay, maybe you won't. Maybe they'll help you find a job, maybe they won't. So I just hate relying on others. I'd rather just rely on myself and make sure that I have backups, right? That if something happens with one job, I have another job. And I've always done that balance. So YouTube's like part-time for me, and then the computer repair, those are my two biggest sources. That is also part-time for me. If I can earn some commissions on Amazon, if we sell some merch, it doesn't add up to much, but it's something. So there's 4 income sources right there. But the 2 main income sources are the things I like doing the most. And then here we are. Bike Man says hello. There's Johnny Weld and Phil Stoddard and Shane Perkins joining us. Welcome in, everybody, as well as, let's see, Andy W6AD. Mike Gamer says hello. So everybody, welcome in and thanks for hanging out with us today. Let's take a look at this machine. I haven't done any prep work on this. So let's look at it together. I knew what the specs were when I ordered it, but that was a few weeks ago. I don't remember what this even is anymore, but I know I liked it. So let's learn about it together. What we've got is the K15 from GMKtec. And again, it's an Intel Ultra 5 125U. That's 12 threads, 14 cores. It'll crank up to 4.3 gigahertz. It has 3 M.2 slots in it. Yeah, 3 of them. They're all Gen 4 by 4. It's got dual 2.5 gig network interface cards. It's quad display, meaning you can have up to 4 displays at the same time, 4 monitors. It's got HDMI, USB4, Wi-Fi 6E. That's not Wi-Fi 7, but damn close. Price, $359.99, provided you put your own RAM and storage. Only 2 reviews on it, which are both positive. Are those Vine reviews or are those real consumers spending their real money? This shows you the inside of the machine where the RAM is going to go and your 3 M.2s. That explains why this box is so long. When deciding what I wanted to film today, all of the mini PCs we have to review are all kind of in the same box, but this one sticks out because it's twice as long and half as high as most of the boxes. I said, I want to see what's in here. Mara's like, what video are you going to do? And I said, whatever this one is. I didn't even know it was the K15 because it doesn't say anything on the outside of the box. There's a little sticker on it. Here's all of the specs right here. It says the box should contain the computer, the power adapter, an HDMI cable, user manual, and a VESA mount with screws. So pretty standard. Power adapter, it will be 20 volts, not 19. Wait a minute. Yeah, DC in is 20 volts, 100 watt certification. Why does it say output? This has got to be the output of the power adapter. So it is 19 volts and 6.32. That's pretty standard. Okay. The Intel chip does have a neural processing unit. So if you want to do AI on this locally, it can do it. Only at 11 tops. Knowing that the T in top stands for trillion, 11 trillion operations per second isn't that fast, believe it or not. All right, reviews. Let's see. This is not a verified buyer. It would say they were verified. Needed a compact PC for my trading, blah, blah, blah. Running 4 monitors via HDMI DisplayPort and USB4 is flawless. I've got charts, newsfeed, trading platforms. Yep. Yeah, I mean, everything they're saying makes sense. Added my own RAM and SSD, installed Windows 11 Pro. It activated immediately. Oh, really? So it's got an activation key in it already. Oh, if that's the case, then we'll save some money on a key. Dual 2.5 gig LAN keeps my connection rock solid. How does a dual connection make any difference for you? Whatever. That review seems a little bit disingenuous, but maybe it's real. Then this one, and bear in mind, this is a pretty new machine. Both of these reviews were published on the same day, which is another concerning coincidence here. Got this bare bone, added my own RAM, super easy, maybe took 10 minutes. Triple M.2 are amazing for storage flexibility. Intel Arc graphics, handle 1080, gaming smoothly. It depends on the game, but okay. The design is sleek and tiny. I installed Windows 11 Pro myself. It activated instantly online. I think these are the same person because who else notices this? I don't know if these are real, but I promise you I'm going to leave my own review on this. And my review will have my name and it'll say verified purchase underneath my name because I'm curious about the driver situation. I guess there isn't any more for me to see without signing in. Because we're going to have to get drivers for this, right? Or will we? That's a lot of computer for 360 bucks, honestly. If you price out a desktop with a motherboard, a cooler, an Ultra 5 CPU that's similar to this one, along with a power supply, a Wi-Fi adapter, or buy a motherboard that's got Wi-Fi in it, buy a motherboard with dual network interface cards on it, price that all out, bare bones, with no RAM or storage. And you will absolutely have to buy a product key. From what they're saying is we don't have to buy a product key, but we do have to provide the operating system, which is free for Microsoft. Suddenly this price right here, that wouldn't even probably barely cover the cost of the CPU, right? Anyway, that's why I bought it. I said, wow, all of this looks really, really good. See where I'm coming from? Like, I'm not shilling for GMKtec. If I think it's a good deal, then I guess I'm shilling for it. But if it's not a good deal, I won't be. And that's what we're here to find out. Is it the good deal it appears to be? If so, you may not be able to get a better computer for less money. If you can, please don't keep that to yourself. Let us know so we can go and get one. All right, here we go. Unboxing. Unboxing the GMKtec K15. This is the bare bones model. Dramatic opening. There it goes. Oh, it's kind of a heavy lid. Set that over here. Inside, we've got some documentation, or is this a 5 1/4 inch floppy? Anyone? How old are you? Keep that away from magnets. No, this is just some documentation. But that is exactly how they used to ship 5 1/4 inch software, just like this. But smaller than a 5 1/4 inch floppy drive is the mini PC. What's interesting is there's no wrapping around this. Did you notice that I didn't peel any plastic or covering off of this? So you think, was that new? Well, I mean, it's still got the protective sticker warning you, advising you not to plug this into the network until after you've gone through the setup process first. So they covered the ports up. Of course, that doesn't stop you from connecting to Wi-Fi when Windows Setup asks you to do it. Say no. Just say no. Are you that old? I am. Okay. Got our Intel sticker up here. And these feet on GMKtec, rather than putting screws underneath of them, GMKtec said, why don't these just be the screws? So if you unscrew the rubber, the chrome foot, you notice how those three kind of align with this lid? I don't think we have to remove that one. Let's see. Now, I don't want to make the same mistake I made with GMKtec before. Oh, I guess I can't, because there's no way for me to put this on the wrong way, because that foot will get in the way. So then I don't have to pay attention. It'll only go on one way. Here's the inside of the unit, right? There's a big cooling fan right there. And, oh boy, that doesn't really... what do we do now? I might have to think about that. It's possible this other foot does have to come out, because it may be that the outer cover and the inside sleeve are being held together with that one screw right there. Oh, guess what? That one does not unscrew. Oh, that's clever. Or does it? No, I can't get that to turn. So GMKtec, hey, that's pretty interesting. We have a button right here that says fan mode. So I guess you can control the cooling or noise level of your particular preference, or just let the system do it on its own, which is my preference. And let's see, how do we open this up? I thought that's all I had to do was take the cover off, because that's what we did on the GMKtec M8. This one is different. It's also physically larger. But let me see what this sticker says right here. Oculink must power off PC, then plug and unplug the Oculink cable. Oh, this not only has 3 M.2s, it also has Oculink. Wow. Wow. Okay. I can see now what I was liking about it. And I just noticed we have little screws. Let me bring this up to the camera. I'll show you what I just found. There are tiny little screws, one here and one there, and around the other side, a little closer towards the center, one here and one over there. And then that looks like this whole top will lift off, and then it's not that hard to get into after all. But here's the front of the unit, nice and close. 4 USB ports right up front. How many of you are just going to love that? But what you may not love is you only get 2 in the back, and those are both USB 2. That's really for your mouse and keyboard to get attached to. There's your ports, your HDMI display port, your USB4 Type-C, your Oculink, headphone jack, power jack, Kensington lock, heatsink for the CPU. That's where all the hot air is going to blow out. Nothing on the sides. Then you've got this big fan up on top. And again, if you go around to the front, this is really for your storage and things that you're going to plug and unplug, even a headset, and another audio jack here. And then this is your BIOS reset if for some reason you made changes in the BIOS. You might need to press that and reset and undo your changes. If you don't make changes in the BIOS, you'll never put anything in there in the whole lifespan of this computer. So for whatever reason, GMKtec likes to use a green power button that doesn't match any of the color coordination. And then again, this is a button, you know, when you put the lid on, this button is exposed, and that is to control the fan mode. Okay, so overall, a pretty smart design. They're giving you plenty without giving you too much. That's how I would describe it. Remaining in the box, we have this container, which has our power cable, which is a laptop style cloverleaf type connector, an HDMI cable if you were to use the VESA mount to mount this onto the back of a monitor or to a wall or under a desk, and then the VESA bracket itself along with the screws required to use it. And that's all that's in this box. And in this box, this should be our power brick. It's going to look just like a laptop power brick. It's actually quite small with a barrel style connector. And then there's a little business card in here, which is what they're calling the warranty card. This isn't required for warranty. It's going to help you if you need to reach out to GMKtec with a warranty issue. Then this will point you right there. You don't have to search for it. You just go, here's your QR code. You can reach out to us. You don't have to go searching online. But there's no information on here that's specific to the Mini. This is just for your information, including, looks like an email address down there for USA and Japan. So you might want to hold on to it or just use Google if you need to contact their warranty department at GMKtec. So that's it. Yeah, that is it. Nothing else in these boxes. So the first thing we need to do is put some RAM and storage in this bad boy so we can get Windows 11 installed. Let's see what this is going to be like. Going to need a pretty small screwdriver. My regular screwdriver, the JIS one, this looks too big. Yeah, the tip of this won't even recess down into the screw. Now we do have some cheap screwdrivers that come with like M.2 drives, and I hate using these. But if you don't have any specialty tools like I have, but you've got these little cheap rinky-dink drivers that are included, I think this has one in there, the NVMe drive. And I just decided to hold on to one of these, but you don't get any leverage on them. They're not good on your fingers. And a toolkit, a proper toolkit like the Nanch toolkit or iFixit toolkits are better tools to use for this. Let me get you a close-up on this. But I'm opening up computers every day, pretty much. You might only open this up once or twice, so there's no sense, you know, buying $100 worth of tools when the free driver will get you through it. Okay, with that, I think this just comes off. Let's see. Oh yeah, watch the power cable. That fan has got to connect somehow, right? There it is. Right on that side is the power cable. And you don't want to pull this up by the wires. Try and grab the connector itself, kind of wiggle and pull at the same time, and it'll just pop right out. Here's what the guts look like. Let me take it up to camera one and give you a nice close-up. see how they built this thing. Now, 1, 2, 3, M.2. These are Gen 4x4. There's your Wi-Fi card, easily changeable, and we can see the make and model of it as well. This is the support bracket for the CPU that's on the other side. It's soldered on, so you can't change it. And then you see our two RAM module sockets here for DDR5 SODIMM RAM. And that's it. That's it for the user serviceable side of things. This wire is one of the antennas. Maybe there's two wires there. One or two. Yeah, there's two, a gray and a black wire coming off of the Wi-Fi card. And the antennas are these black stickers that are facing the, well, there's one black sticker facing the rear. And where's the other one at? It looks like it goes down, so I can't see it. And you can look in between there if you want to see what's on the other side. That's kind of cool. I don't know where the BIOS battery is. Oh, I see the BIOS battery right there. Look, you can get to it without taking the board out, and it's in a little holder, so you don't have to buy a special battery. Just a CR2032 will pop out of the holder, pop a new one in. If you do want to take the board out, though, it looks like it's pretty easy. Just a screw here, and probably in the other two corners, and this whole thing will lift right out. That is very easy to service. Wow, I like that. And the size, it's a little bigger. It's a little longer and a little taller than a standard 5x5 or 4x4 mini. But that's how you can squeeze the extra ports on there, like Oculink, USB4, and 3 M.2s. Other machines might be capable of having 3 M.2s, but they don't have anywhere to put it. They run out of space. So looking at our storage and RAM, let's get back up to close up here. I guess I'll start with the RAM. And yeah, this has never been opened before. So this RAM that we bought in 2023, almost 3 years ago, being opened for the very first time. Start with the bottom, because if we start with the top, we won't be able to see the bottom. So we have to start with the bottom. And what we're going to do is kind of slide that in, but put it on a bit of an angle. When you put this RAM in, it should have a bit of an angle on it there. And then push it in so you can't see the gold connectors inside of the socket. They kind of go hidden. And then just press down on each side of it, and it'll just, these little retention levers hold it in place. Laptop memory is so easy to install. And we're going to repeat that right here with the top one. RAM is done. Now let's do the NVMe drive. There's one of those little screwdrivers that I normally would throw away. So which one of these M.2s should we use? We've got 3 to choose from, three parking spots. Where do you want to park the car? I think I'm going to use this first one. I want to show you a little detail that you may not have noticed when I didn't notice it myself. The screws to secure the NVMe drives. Oh, I got to go to the other camera. This one's, sorry, I got the focus locked in on the close-up so it doesn't keep going in and out. This one has autofocus, so when I walk up, it'll automatically adjust. There we go. So there's our 3 M.2s, and if you look down here, there's the 3 screws 1, 2, 3. That third screw also holds down the Wi-Fi adapter. So that screw does double duty. So if I'm going to go over the Wi-Fi adapter with this NVMe drive, I've got to take out that screw that's holding the Wi-Fi adapter in. Now, this is what throws some people, and it threw me the first time I saw it. The screw itself doesn't hold the Wi-Fi adapter in. The screw is screwed down into a standoff. So if I wanted to change the Wi-Fi adapter out, let me come back up here again. Now that I've removed that screw, I can get a 5mm socket or very gently use some needle nose pliers and unscrew that little standoff right there. And then the Wi-Fi card can come out. Put the new Wi-Fi card in, put the standoff back down and tighten it up. Then we're going to put the screw in the top of that to hold the M.2 drive in. Whereas the other ones, they also have standoffs, but those standoffs just secure to the board. So just so you know what to look for. So I'll pop our Beijing. This is a 1 terabyte S880 Gen 4x4. We should get over 7,000 megabytes per second on our sequential reads on this. And with 32 gigs of RAM, I feel like this is a very well appointed machine for the processor it has and for all of the ports and everything it has. We don't have to go to Ultra 9 or Ultra 7, but going anything less than Ultra 5 would probably be in its own way. And that's it. That's all we had to do. I'll bring this back up one more time. And bare bones no longer. Now it's got RAM and storage. And lots of room to expand. Notice there's no heat sinks or anything here because they've got that fan, that big fan pushing air through it. So this should stay nice and cool, even if you do want to add 2 more M.2s, which I would not do if I were you, but you know, it's your life. You want to go external storage in the 2020s. External storage is just, it's nearly as fast, especially if you've got USB4 enclosures, or just even a USB4 adapter. You don't even need an enclosure. And you have the freedom to unplug that drive to keep it free of excess wear and tear when you're not using it or worrying about viruses. Or if you want to move files to another computer, it's just so much more independence. Doing it this way is really doing it an old-fashioned way. Some people like that. Okay. I'm not one of those people. I'm not selling a customer a computer that has more than 2 drives in it. And preferably, the only time people need 2 drives is when they're gamers. If they're gamers and they're downloading their games and the games are huge, they need a mechanical drive. They're typically not using an NVMe for that because it's too expensive. So if somebody was wanting to put that much storage in this, I would shake my head and say, I hope you're doing regular backups, man, because you just put all your eggs in one basket. If anything happens to the basket, you lose it all. You'd be better off take those same 2 drives, and they could be M.2s. Just buy some cheap enclosures. You know, Beijing makes a $20 or $25 enclosure and plug it into USB and have the freedom and security to have that data out of the computer. Or don't, you know, torture yourself because you think it's easier. It isn't. It's going to make your life so miserable. It's going to happen. I promise you it will happen. Just give it time. And when it happens, your fix is going to take longer and cost more than my fix. So that's the logic, right? It's just math. It's not an attitude, it's math. It's scientifically proven. But if that's what you want to do, they give you that option, and I think it would be very unwise to use it. But you can. Okay. I won't be using it. With that, let's, I guess we could put it back together, right? So this went over here, as I recall, like this. Let's get our close-up camera back on. Didn't hear it click, but it's definitely in there. Set this down. So my question is, yeah, this definitely has to come off. So let's put some screws back in. That one in there. Don't over tighten these. I don't know if you can tell by watching my hands, but once that screw stops, you know, when it starts to give me resistance and it comes to a complete stop with just 2 fingers, there's no reason to take it and crank it down, because then you're going to have a hard time getting these out and you might strip the heads off and then you're going to have to drill them out. It's going to be a big mess and you're going to ruin a perfectly fine mini PC from just being too ham-fisted. Now, it's not delicate in glass or anything like that, but it's definitely plastic, and you can crack it, and you can rip the heads off of these little screws. They're not the strongest screws in the world. It's not a lag bolt that's going to hold up a 55-inch television, okay? So there's no reason to tighten it like it would be. You're just going to make it harder on yourself if you do. Now, remember how I was like, okay, which way does this go on? Well, I can see the fan mode button there. We have a fan on both sides, but only ventilation on one side. So if this faces up, it's got to go on like this. I feel like I got to pull up on it without scraping the top. And then look on the back to line up the holes for the feet, which are where? Yikes. Boy, I wish there was a little more guidance. Was, you know, some kind of a plastic ridge or something for this to bump up against so you knew how far forward it goes. It looks like if I see the hole right there, I want this to be over there. I think that's lined up. Let's see. So what it looks like is this top edge goes right to the back of the PC. I guess it's the top, but it's also the rear. Let's see, does it find a... This is going to be the hard part. They're little teeny tiny mount points. Oh yeah, that worked out well. So there's 1 foot and another foot. Once you get the first foot in, everything else should be easy. See, that one's not quite lined up. Just a very minor correction there. And if you allow it to, if you don't hold it too tight, let the screw guide it to where the screw wants it to be aligned, and then it'll be perfect every time. That's it. We had the whole thing apart, built up. There's that button I was showing you earlier. And then let's grab this stuff and move it out of our way, because this is a lot of extra that we don't need right now, including all of this extra over here. Just grab all this. Put it all over here for now. Now I can focus. And this, I'm done with this little screwdriver. Just occurred to me, I might need that someday. And that was just like last week, and I've already used it. Power. Check. HDMI. Check. Keyboard and mouse, I've got over here. And we're going to use the rear USB ports for this, because they're the slow USB ports, which are perfect for keyboard and mice. And then turn the batteries on, or turn the units on. We're not plugging into the network, right? I will need a Windows 11 installation media. So here's my Windows 11, which I've shown you guys how to make, and we're going to plug that into a fast USB port up front. And then finally, we have to give this power, which I have extra power cables that are a lot longer than what manufacturers. So I have a unique setup here. Probably not like what you have at home because it's a studio. So my cables have to run a bit longer to get to the outlets and such from where the desk on camera has to be located. Okay. In theory, we're done. And we just turned this $360 computer and into something worth a lot more by adding that RAM and storage that we just luckily purchased in bulk when it was on sale. And oftentimes they would only let you buy 3 or 5. 3 was pretty common. So the fact that I have more than 3 tells you I did that multiple times. Let's see what happens. Let's turn it on. And the first thing we want to see is a power light, which is not happening. Oh yeah, there is a very, I thought there was a light over here. There's a very faded light right underneath the green button. And in a darker room without all the studio lights, you probably would see it okay. Let's jump over to the streamer and see this video output, see what it's doing. Holy cow, it trained the memory and already booted off of the flash drive that quickly? Hold on a minute, that was too fast. Let's bring back camera 1 for a second. I didn't expect it to be that quick. Let me bring myself down to the corner like this for right now because I want you to see what I'm about to do. We're going to pull, let's just pull power. Okay? Let's see the real time that took. So we'll plug it back in. Hit the power button. I mean, if anything, it's already trained the RAM. It should be even faster. Look at that. It boots off of this flash drive, starts our Windows 11 setup. Okay, so let's do it. English and English, next. US, next. Install Windows 11 and agree to all this stuff, next. Enter the product key. I don't have a product key. Next. We want Windows 11 Pro. Okay, the fact that it doesn't know and it didn't find a product key suggests to me that this is not going to auto-activate like those reviewers wrote, but who knows? Let's see what happens. Next. Accept the license agreement. Where do we want to install? On that 1 terabyte Beijing S880, which represents here disk 0, fully unallocated. So it's completely like it brand new out of the box. So even if I'd used this before, I reset it back to out-of-box settings. So this way would replicate using all new parts. Ready to install? Okay, do it. Do it, lady. We're off to the races. And let me put myself back here for a moment and look in the live chat to see if there's any comments or questions I've been missing throughout this process. Edward Bass joins us and says hello. Welcome in, Edward. David Martinez joins us and says hello. And Mr. Big Van Life says hello. Says he's been a fan for 15 years. That's great. Thank you. Scott Messerschmidt says hello. Luke says, is that an RGB fan? I don't think it is. I don't think you'd be able to see it if it were. I don't think it's RGB, no. I think it's just a regular old fan. Andy said he had to buy his own product key for the GMKtec K8 Plus barebone. Yeah, the only reason, I would assume I had to buy my own product key. but the reviews suggested they didn't. So the reviews look a little sketchy. I don't know if they're sincere or not, but if the reviews on Amazon are saying that they didn't have to buy a product key and we have to, then they're lying. They're not real customers who had to buy it themselves. Luke Greenia says, do I have any opinions on the MoveSpeed 1 terabyte USB4 drives for image backup and storage? I think they're fine. MoveSpeed is one of those companies that's not very well known. We don't have a lot of experience with them, but the limited experience we do have has been good, and I do recommend them. But do bear in mind, as a smaller manufacturer, support and delays and email questions and things like that are probably to be expected. But if it works like it's supposed to, you should never have to reach out to them anyway. And every drive we've used from them, including flash drives and M.2 drives, we've never had any problem. Not that we've had that many, maybe 4 or 5 of them. And I'm sure we still have them and they still work. So if that kind of support isn't important to you, then why pay for it? And hence they can charge less. Now that's not to say their support isn't good. I don't know. I've never need to use it, but I'm going to assume the worst case scenario. And if I'm okay with the worst case scenario, and assuming you're okay with that too, I wouldn't hesitate to purchase a MoveSpeed storage drive. And if it turns out you do need their support and they do answer right away and they get you a solution right away, all the better. So I just imagine the worst case and say, would I be okay with my purchase if that worst case scenario were to come true? And I'd say for the price savings and the performance of what you're getting, and the fact that we've never had a problem with them, seems like a risk I'd be willing to take, because it seems like the odds of us having a problem with it right now are 0%. We've 4 or 5 of those units and they all work perfectly to this day. All right, let's see how we're progressing along here. Let me close out camera 1 so I can read the screen. It looks like you started an upgrade. What's interesting is this suggests that the BIOS from the factory is set to not boot off of the internal drive. Click yes if you want to perform a clean installation, otherwise click no. Well, we just started a clean installation, so why do we want to do that again? So I'm going to say no. No, I guess I wanted to say yes. Well, regardless, I'm going to, let's go back to camera 1 for a second, so I'll show you what the steps are here. The BIOS is set to boot off of the USB drive for some reason. There's 2 easy fixes for this. One, we pull the power cable and take the USB drive out, and it's not there anymore as an option. Plug it back in and turn it back on, and now it has no choice but to boot from the internal drive. If this properly set that internal drive up, it should be bootable now. The second thing we can do is we can go into the BIOS and tell the BIOS, make the internal drive your priority, not the USB drive. And you can see it's booting. So I don't know why GMKtec set the BIOS up like that. If they would have left it alone the way everybody else does it, then it would boot to the hard drive first or the internal drive first. And if there's any problem with that, then the second thing it'll boot to would be the flash drive. So on the first boot, when there's nothing to boot from on the internal drive, it can only boot to this as a second choice. But after this reboots the first time, making this drive bootable, then the BIOS automatically prefers that drive now and doesn't go to the second choice. By removing the second choice when we no longer needed it, it's another correction that can be made to avoid having to go in the BIOS and make changes. But in my opinion, your BIOS would not be set up correctly. You could do it that way if you want to. You can leave your windows unrolled in your car when you park it too. If it rains or somebody gets inside your car and steals everything out of it, you know, I'm okay with that. It's your car, it's your stuff. I would rather roll the windows up and lock the doors, even if no one even walks by my car, even if it wasn't a possibility to begin with, and it wouldn't have made any difference. I don't have to think about it. It's just done. And much the same way, by setting up the BIOS to boot to the NVMe drive first, I don't have to think about it in the future. I'm done with the flash drive, so I'll drop that into the drawer and then let this finish installing. Frankie says, Carrie, you've got a message on the screen. Oh, sorry, catching up, Frankie. Anyway, that explains the message. It's not a big deal. Nothing to panic over, and very easily bypassed. And we can permanently change it so it won't exhibit that same behavior in the future. I'm just surprised out of the factory that's how it's shipped. That's unexpected, but it's a choice, I guess. Not a common one, but it is a choice. Let's get rid of camera 1 and go through this out-of-box setup here. So US, yes. US, yes. Second keyboard, no. Don't have internet. Username, user. Blank password, so it goes right to the desktop. Leave location settings on. Then our date and time will always be accurate, even after daylight saving time or after minutes lost or gained naturally. It'll self-correct that. I cannot get behind the extreme privacy concerns from people that have some weird paranoia, maybe schizophrenia, that they're being watched. We don't know who these people are, and I could give a rat's behind. But they seem to think what they're doing is very important, and God forbid you turn any of those privacy settings on. Talk about living in delusion. I want nothing to do with those people. They are extremists when it comes to their privacy settings. And they are probably the most boring people you've ever met in your life. That all this work they're doing to cover up all their stuff, if you saw everything they were covering up, you'd probably go, what a complete waste of time. You're covering up nonsense that no one cares about. You don't have government secrets. You don't have the nuclear launch codes. I guess people feel important if they do this stuff. It's like a weird psychological control or illusion of control for most people who care so extremely about their privacy. And we don't even know who they are, which in and of itself makes them private. Now, if you're a celebrity or a public figure, there are exceptions, obviously, but we're all not lottery ticket winners. Anyway, to each their own. We'll agree to disagree for those of you who think your security is that important that you can't be bothered to let the computer set the date and time for you, because they might know where you are. God forbid somebody even knows you exist, let alone is looking for you. The internet, I'm telling you, man, it brings them out. But hey, you know what? It takes all kinds to make the world go round. Now that we're here at the desktop, we can plug in to the network. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the rear of this case and remove this stickers. This part here isn't even stuck. It's just flat against the computer. It's a pull tab. Pull that sticker away, right? And then we'll grab our Ethernet cable, which I've got down here. And then if you watch when I plug this in, watch the bottom right corner. So let me go back to the desktop. Let's get rid of camera 1. And I want you to watch down by the clock. Notice the date and time are off. I'm plugging in the network cable. And if we got the network card drivers, then that little globe down there will start to flash and start talking to my router. So that's good. That means that the network card drivers are loading by default on a Windows 11 Pro installer. Phew. Because once we have the network card driver, you can get any other drivers you need through the network, right, using the internet. Now, speaking of that, let's take a look in the device manager and see where we're sitting in that regard. So we'll go to Device Manager, and how many drivers are going to be missing? Quite a few. Looks like a sound chip, a Wi-Fi card, Bluetooth. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. SM bus controller, that's your chipset, and that chipset's probably going to take care of probably 2 other things. I'm going to guess just the chipset driver will probably remove 3 items out of here. Somehow we've got a USB serial bus controller, which, oh, it's weird that that's not defaulted in with the installer of Windows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So while I was talking, Windows Update just updated one of these. One just went away while I was talking. I don't know if you caught that. So right now it is downloading updates, whether you like it or not. So there's a baseline, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on a clean install. Now let's go to Windows Update. You notice it says activate now. I think if we do that, it's not going to work. Probably going to tell us we don't have a key. Oh, it just says they can't reach the activation servers. So that usually happens during Windows Update. So let's hit Windows Update, check for updates, and see if any of those 8 missing drivers come in automatically. In the meantime, while we're waiting, I'll just make some changes that I like to make. Gives me something to do. This will be 0 until it checks, and then that just changed to a 2. These will be usually drivers and optional like preview updates. Looks like we have a driver here for a Realtek card. That'll be either the wired LAN or the wireless, I'm not sure yet. Even though I showed you the Wi-Fi card and you can see who made it, I couldn't read it. You could see it better than I could from thousands of miles away, because this is what life is like in 2026. So with that, we'll let these updates install, and oh, let me check my power settings. I don't want this thing going to sleep on us while we're working on it. Edit power plan. Whoops. Whoopsie. Well, that's all right. We needed to open the browser eventually, so might as well just go through all these questions. Again, it's something to do while we wait, but that's not what I was trying to do. What is this opening? What is all this? Oh, that was the edit search, and then this is the customization. Okay, all good. This is fine. I thought maybe there was some customization on the computer, but that wouldn't make any sense because I'm the one who installed it, not GMKtec. So I don't know what I was thinking. All right, let's go back and try this again. Edit the power plan. Yeah, I'm glad I checked that because I don't want that going to sleep that soon. And I don't want I don't want the display to turn off that soon. And I never want the computer to go to sleep because there's no point in it when you don't have batteries to save. And then change what the power buttons do. Let's make sure the power button will shut this machine off. It really bothers me that it's defaulting to sleep. Again, if it was a laptop, that'd be a different story. But without batteries, sleep shouldn't even be an option. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and let the updates run. Let me bring camera 1 back here in the corner. And yeah, Johnny Welt said he just noticed the time and date changed as well. Automatically. All those privacy people, they're like, oh, I don't want you to know. They can do this all by hand if they want to. They could also get one of those push mowers from the 1900s to mow their grass. Oh, I don't want an electric or gasoline-powered motor. Don't give me any of that medicine either. That's all witchcraft. No electricity here. We don't want any electricity. You know, if you want to think like somebody in the 1800s, I mean, there's nothing illegal about it, but boy, do they exist online for some weird reason. And I see a lot of it, so that's why I have to comment on it. Because I feel like seeing it once would be weird in real life, but seeing it not at all on the internet would be a bizarre day on the internet. It's everywhere. It's probably the same guy. All right. W. Holmes, Carrie, the Amazon receipt was for 3 TeamGroup 32. Oh, did I order 3 of them? Oh, you might have caught something I didn't notice. Let me go back and look at that again. You're right. There's the three $70.99. You are absolutely correct. Well, that shows you how quick we forget, doesn't it? 3 must have been the limit I could buy. So that's okay. That explains a lot. All right. So it went from wow. I'm gonna eat some crow right now, because I said, you know, going from 212 plus sales tax at 231 to 588 isn't, I mean, it's a big difference, but it's not as extreme as everybody's making it out to be. But it turns out I must have bought it when it was on sale, because it didn't, what are you saying? It sold for $1 less in the entire history of this product for a very short time. And I picked it up for just $1 more than its lowest price ever. I couldn't have known that when I bought it, right? I mean, I would assume the price would just get cheaper. But there it is, $70.99 times 3. Okay, all right. Now $70.99 versus $588, that's extreme. But it's also extreme in the sense that it's the highest price it's ever been today at $588, and this is $1 away from the lowest price it's ever been since it was introduced to the market. But the chart I showed you online, right, from Camel, did back up my initial thoughts. So we got one hell of a deal on this. Holy cow. I didn't even catch that. So the price went up $500. $511, something like that. $518, 17. Wow, wow. That means we could have bought 10 of these, assuming there wasn't a limit. And it would have cost us $700. One is $588. Can you imagine buy one, get 9 free? Good catch. That's a great catch. David Graham said, when I was a kid, I had to push that old lawnmower with 2 wheels with the rotating blades. Yeah, we all did. But why would somebody want to do that today? But that's what these people online do. They want to live in the past. David Graham says $80 to $550, someone should be in jail. Well, no, absolutely not. Nobody's doing anything illegal or wrong. That's a messed up way of thinking, my friend. If everybody's all trying to buy the same thing and they can't keep up with making it, if they make 100 units and people want to buy 1,000, then those 100 units are going to be worth more. That's not jail. They're not holding back food. They're not holding back shelter or water. This isn't a life-affirming medical treatment. This is a spoiled, entitled person thinking that they are entitled to cheap RAM when it is not a right. So the fact that you have the option to voluntarily purchase that is a gift of your freedom and the choices you can make living in our society. And the sellers who sell it are free to sell it as much as people are willing to pay. So if anybody should be in jail, it's the people willing to pay that. Those are the people who should be in jail, because by paying that, it's telling the seller that's what it's worth. And when people stop paying it, then the sellers will either go out of business and it won't be available for sale at any price, except what's remaining will be worth more. It'll just make the price go up for people willing to buy it. And then for any prices to come down with less competition, you're only going to make the situation worse. But it might feel like justice to you that they got what they deserve, but then you're also cutting off your nose to spite your own face. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. There's absolutely no crime happening here. If everybody all wants to buy the same thing at the same time, like toilet paper during the pandemic, there's nothing illegal that people are hoarding it, preventing others from getting it, and causing those who still have it for sale to charge more. When you're the seller, you want to make as much money as anybody's willing to pay. When you're the buyer, you want to pay the least amount, even if it means the seller goes out of business. You don't care. You as the buyer do not care. If the seller says, I'm going to sell this for half price, and now I won't be able to pay my rent, and I won't be able to feed my family, do you care? You'd say, well, then you're an idiot. You shouldn't be selling it at 50% off then, you moron. So, because you're stupid, I'm going to buy it. Well, the seller feels exactly the same way about you. If I can sell this RAM for 5 times more and people are paying it, I'd be an idiot to not do that. And if it means you can't buy food for your family because you decided to buy the RAM that you couldn't afford, then you're the idiot. We're doing it to ourselves. Once we accept that responsibility, nobody needs to go to jail for the decisions we make unless we're making illegal ones. So no, nothing. Society has created this problem of just not having enough. And so when you don't have enough of something and it's scarce, the value goes up. I mean, should Ferrari go to jail for what they charge for a car? People are paying it. Maybe not you and maybe not me. Ferrari doesn't care about you or me. And likely, you probably don't care about them either. So we get what we give in this world. But I get what you're saying. I get it. It's an emotional thing. But logically, it's just how capitalism works. It's not price fixing and it's not monopolizing. If that was happening, then I'd be behind you. But just supply and demand issues? No. That's a problem with society. David said, I see the cost of RAM affecting everything, not just people like me. Okay, and? What are you going to do about it? You just want to justify complaining? Is that it? I have a right to complain because it's not just me. I'm speaking on behalf of a bunch of people who don't know me, who did not ask me to speak on their behalf, and I think they're too incapable to speak on their own. So therefore, let me insult this group of people that I'm speaking on behalf of, just to justify that what I'm saying is accurate. And then what? So now what happens? Now the prices come down, now magically supply go. I don't understand your point, David. I'm not saying you're wrong, but you're also not in a different boat than everybody else. You're just stating the obvious. We're all paying it, or we're all going without. You're in the same boat we are, but you're talking about the boat like we're not in it with you. It's very strange. And if talking about it would fix the problem with the boat, I'm all for talking about it. But it won't change anything. Maybe it makes you feel better. It doesn't make me feel better. It might make you feel better. Andy said this is what happens with a lack of competition. Well, it's possible, but that's not the case here. The bottom line is the AI companies that are being funded through investments can afford to buy as much RAM as being made. If there are 2 companies making RAM or 200 companies making RAM, it's not enough. I don't know how much clearer this could be. It's not like they're just a little short. They're short by more than 5 times what they need. And what about the rest of us? This isn't something competition is going to resolve, because you would have so much competition when this is over that these 98% of those companies will instantly collapse. They will instantly collapse. They will not be sustainable because there'll be too much competition. And this is a temporary problem. So the answer is not in competition here. They have a big empty data center, and they need 2 million sticks of RAM this month, which is more than is made by far And that wouldn't change if more companies came online. It still would not be enough. Once it does get to the point that it's enough, then all those extra companies, they collapse down into nothing. For what? To be in business for 18 months? That doesn't make any sense. If it were price fixing or monopolistic, then you would be right. But that is not what's happening here. There's not enough. Think about the Depression. There wasn't enough food. This went on for 10 years. People were left hungry. Period. Left hungry. And you just got used to being hungry. That's it. Or you go grow your own food. It's temporary. It is not the new normal for much longer. Give it another year or so. Just like the toilet paper run out, what are you going to do? I don't have any problems buying toilet paper today. It's everywhere. Supply and demand self-adjusts. We don't need to open more toilet paper factories just because of the pandemic. It was temporary. Just deal with it. Just like the rest of us. You're in the same boat. We're all together. Not different for you. So anyway, it bothers me because unless you have a solution for it, saying it's criminal or saying someone should go to jail or saying it's affecting other people's lives, okay, and what does that do to progress us forward? How is that providing any solution? It isn't. The solution is, if it's affecting you that badly, you'll go without. We went without so much in the 1980s. So many people had so much more than we had growing up. And one would argue those were better times. Just saying. Andy said there was plenty of food produced. Yeah, but nobody could afford it. There's plenty of RAM being produced. You just can't afford it. It's the same thing. Manuel with a €2 super chat. Thank you, Manuel. Anyway, a lot of life ultimately is, I would say, 10% what happens to you. 90% of your quality of life is based on how you voluntarily choose to respond to that 10%. So this little 10% thing can affect 90% of your life if you allow it. But if you realize what your role in this is, what lack of authority and control you have, just like the rest of us, that pill goes down a lot easier. Learn some patience and learn to appreciate what you do have, since nothing is ever enough in the world today. Everybody wants more. This is not healthy psychological behavior. This consumerism that's causing all the issues with our environment and our landfills, all the plastics, this is all consumerism, and we are drug addicts to consumerism. And at some point, we need some self-awareness to say, I don't think I like being this kind of a human. Just buy more, and destroy the planet, and never is enough. This is a good reminder to come back to nature and to realize we don't have to have these things. And the things we have now are just fine. It's a great excuse to recenter ourselves as individuals and to really determine what's important in life, like your health, how you care about your loved ones, the fact that you've got shelter, that you're not living outdoors, that you're eating, you're not starving to death. But no, it's never enough. Everything can always be so much better. I don't have anybody rubbing my feet. I used to have somebody rub my feet. Let's just say I did. And now they don't do it anymore. Oh, we'll break out the violins and the sympathy, because you probably don't have anybody rubbing your feet either. So boo-hoo, Carrie. Right? That's what it sounds like to me. It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. This lack of patience, this demanding entitlement, I've just about had it with people that just think they're owed stuff. And I'm saying, well, collect on it if it's owed to you. If you have any authority and that's genuinely owed to you, go collect on it. And if that works for you, teach us so we can all collect on it. Otherwise, you're not any different. We're all in the same boat here. And the only difference is how we choose to respond. You can see it as an opportunity. You can see it as a renewal, whether you like it or not. You can choose to make the best out of it, or you can just be miserable. But that is your choice. And if you're choosing to be miserable, I will not agree with you. I will not. We're going to not see eye to eye on choosing voluntarily to make ourselves miserable. Every moment we have on earth is temporary. I don't know how much you realize this until your days are all behind you and there's only a few days left, that you realize how stupid caring about this stuff was, as much as you allowed it to get a hold of your mood when you were alive and you had endless time, seemingly. This is how you chose to be miserable with it. I'm going to absolutely disagree with that attitude. I don't want to see you unhappy, but if you're going to make yourself unhappy, I want you to know that's what you're doing. It seems like a weird choice. Be happy. Try a different approach. Say, I am so thankful that I have the computer I have before all this happened, that I have the RAM I have, and that it works as well as it does. And I'll be saving some money by not buying the stuff I was going to buy. And when prices come down, I should be having a little bit of a nest egg that I can then buy more than I was going to and pay less for it. It's all opportunity, things to look forward to. It's nothing to despise. So again, just attitude. John Lewis said, growing up in Chicago on the South Side in the 1940s, I never saw a big grocery store. We grew almost all of our own food in a Victory Garden in a nearby 70-acre Avalon Park. Yeah, grocery stores didn't exist in the United States until, oh gosh, 1920. I mean, there was no refrigeration, right? So what grocery stores did sell at that time, you had to have sort of an ice box, and you had an iceman that delivers your ice. But frozen foods, they couldn't really transfer anything cold. There weren't really refrigerated trains. There weren't any sort of refrigerated transportation. So those early grocery stores were, you know, kind of like a hut with a dirt floor with farm goods. If they had an ice box, and they could have milk and eggs, you know, from a local dairy. But you wouldn't get bread there. You'd go to a bakery for bread. Eventually, it all kind of converged into one. Someone realized, hey, if I could just have customers get their bread when they're here too. And then they were threatened by the bakers of the city taking away their livelihoods, and they're gonna unalive him. Seriously, they're gonna end his life for taking. If you're gonna sell bread in your grocery store, so customers won't come to my bakery anymore, you're preventing me from earning a living, and I'm going to lose everything unless I lose you. That was the mentality at the time. Scary stuff. Everybody wasn't happy about it. Manuel said, I wanted 256 gigs of RAM again, just like with the X299, but to be honest, I have a few more problems than RAM. It's more my last problem, if it even is one, since I don't edit so heavily anymore. Well, there you go. David Graham said, I'm never unhappy. Some things are just wrong and I notice. Okay, but what good does that do you to notice it if you can't do anything about it? It sounds like you're making yourself unhappy and you're voluntarily choosing to do that to yourself. Now, if you were in a position of authority or control and had some way to control or determine the outcome of this, because of your involvement, I'd be behind you 100%. But you're just sitting on the sidelines shouting at the coach. The coach isn't listening to you. So there's other aspects at play here that you just aren't grasping. It seems to me you're looking at just the surface and you're not going below the surface. This is way more complicated than you're giving it credit for. And if you study the economics of it, you could be in school for 6 months and just start to grasp what's happening in the economics of this situation to realize there's no easy answer. It's a very complex, complicated situation that if you're in the industry, even people in the industry, some people don't fully understand it. You've got to be more of an economics professor or education to understand the complexities of this worldwide market. It's not the markets that used to be, made down the street. You used to be able to buy a car in Detroit that was built in Detroit. Good luck doing that today. It's complicated. To oversimplify and say, oh, well, they should just cure cancer. I don't know what the big deal is, just cure it. It's so easy. We have cures for other things. Why can't we cure that? It's more complicated. It's not that simple. Why can't we cure the common cold? Because there's no such thing as a single common cold. There's millions of variations, and you can cure one variation. It keeps evolving and changing. You'll never keep up with it. So you could do the best you can, and you could try, but unless you're the one in the lab doing the work, you completely dismiss how complicated this kind of research and time and money it takes. And how often the results are zero and you just have to keep going until you figure it out. Someone's paying for all of this. Imagine if they said, you can't buy RAM anymore, it's illegal. Just don't even worry about the price. Don't worry about the availability. Just a new law passes that says you as a consumer cannot buy RAM. Only businesses can buy it. And they must buy it in pallets. You can't just buy one. That way, home consumers can't say, oh, I'm a business, I just want one. And you said, this is unjust and this is wrong. I'm behind you 100%. But this is the market. And it's very complicated. And it does affect all of us, and none of us have the solution. You got to feed the beast. Once the beast has been fed, then there'll be plenty of food for the rest of us. But let's get the beast fed, because the beast is going to eat whether we like it or not. And if you get in the beast's way, it'll squish you like a bug. So just stay clear of it, let it do what it needs to do, let it get full, and then we come in afterwards, and things will normalize. It's just temporary. All right, with that, let's see how our device manager looks. Let's go back over to full screen here for me. I was talking to Mara the other day. I said, my approach to computer repair is different than most. A lot of places that say they're break fix, they're only treating the symptom. I have a holistic approach, and it occurred to me that's the word I've been trying to find for a long time, is how I'm different from other techs. Most other techs, is I don't just want to, just like a holistic doctor doesn't just cure your symptom. They look around and see what else could be causing a problem. In other words, if you have a skin rash and they give you some ointment, your skin rash isn't likely happening externally, it's happening internally. And the ointment is only treating the symptom, it's not curing the problem. You have to treat the whole body. You have to treat the mind and the organs, all of it. You've got to treat the whole thing. It's got to be holistic. I do the same with computers. I treat the whole computer, the software, the hardware, and I'm looking for other issues the customer may not have alerted me to because they don't know. I don't just wait for the customer to go, hey, this one thing doesn't work, so I fix the one thing, send them a bill, and say bye. I don't work that way. That's break fix. I don't do that. I do holistic technical work. And sometimes that includes also addressing the user using the computer as part of the approach that's causing the issues with the computer. Sometimes it's the person behind the keyboard making some bad decisions, and that's why they keep getting viruses and malware. So we treat the whole thing, not just get rid of the virus and give it back, just so they're back again tomorrow with another virus, and then say we never cleaned it when we did, and they just reinfected it again. All right, let's go right-click Device Manager. So it didn't look like it did much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got one. We're down to 7. Let's hit Windows Update again. Retry those. Oh, I didn't even... Oh, I was going to check what version of Windows we had, but we put Windows on. Oh, man, I'm getting ahead of myself. So obviously we have the latest Windows 11 Pro 25H2 with all the latest April updates in it already. That's why there's so few updates available for us here in May of 2026. It's always good to have an updated media installer. But let it recheck again just to see if there's other potentially missing drivers that we can install automatically. Then we'll see what we're left with. These are pretty small installs. They shouldn't take very long at all. And then I can also check activation status. I don't think this has a key though. No product key was found. So we'll have to buy a product key. And you know how I do that, don't you? Underneath every one of my videos, there are video notes. And in those video notes, there's a link to where I buy my Office and Windows keys for my business, for my clients, on behalf of my clients. I buy hundreds of them. And I'm not paying what Microsoft wants, because customers won't pay those kind of rates to me. They'll go to one of my competitors. But I'm not going to sell them an illegal copy of Windows either, because then if they find out, they'll go to one of my competitors. I'm screwed if I don't find legal license keys for Windows and Office to provide to my customers at a competitive price point that I can support and stand behind without diminishing my integrity or my reputation. So underneath every video, like if we pull up this video from a couple months ago, you look below the video there and it shows this little section where it says there's an option for more, right? You click on that and there's all the video notes with all the links of whatever we're talking about in the video. And right there will be the links for Windows and Office that I use. And these are the prices I pay. I don't have a different way of doing it, guys. I'm not buying 100 at a time. I might buy 100 in a year. So how do I get that bulk price? And how do I make sure I'm getting a legit key? You got to find the right reputable seller. So first thing you're going to do when you click on the link for the product you want is you sign in. If you don't have a sign-in account, make one. It's free. You'll absolutely have to have it. It's not negotiable. Put in the coupon code of Carrie if you want to save more money. If you don't want to save more money because you think the coupon code is following you, pay the extra money. I don't make a commission, so knock yourself out. I want to save the money. I put the coupon code in and I hit the submit order, and then I go through my payment process. Here's the other thing. They take PayPal. Illegitimate sellers, PayPal won't work with. So the fact that PayPal is offered tells you right there you're dealing with a legit seller that's meeting all the requirements. But if you want to use a credit card or if you want to use Google Pay, there's other ways. I prefer to use PayPal. So I use PayPal, I use my coupon code, and I pay the same price as you pay. I get the email just like you'll get within about 2 minutes of the order, no matter day or night, weekend or weekday, holiday or not. Within about 2 minutes, that email comes in and I can finish the job with the product key provided because I've already got the software. But if you don't already have the software, they provide a link for you to get that from Microsoft as well. That's how important that email is. And if you ever want to go back and pull that information again, you just sign in to that website with the email and password you set up, and your entire purchase history ever made through that company. Like I've got over 100 orders, they're all listed there. So if I ever need to pull any of those keys again, or I need the download links again, I don't have to ask anybody for help. I just log in, look at my order history, click on the one I'm interested in, and there's all the same information. It hasn't changed. I'm OCD and I put my stuff away, okay? So I never do that. But I've had enough emails from viewers who just can't seem to, they take screws out of a machine, they don't know where they put the screws. They literally will take a machine apart and not 10 minutes later, they cannot find the screws. I would lose my job. That's such an easy thing to set a screw down. If you can't be bothered to pay attention and you're asking me where can I get some more screws and you've only had the machine for a day, I am beside myself. What? Is this a real conversation? Are you 6? How old are you? That doesn't make a lot of friends. What's going on? Did you think you weren't going to use those screws anymore? I don't need these. Just chuck them aside. What were you thinking? Anyway, because of the line of work I'm in, that's such an absurd situation. It's hard to believe it's real, but people are people, you know. Let's see. Looks like we got our updates. We'll check for updates one more time. So now the question is, assuming there's no more updates, what about the rest of the drivers? Well, ideally, GMKtec will provide them to us. Now, I noticed that Mara added a link for the downloads in the video notes, but that's kind of cheating. What if we just wanted to search and locate them ourselves? How hard would that be? That's what I want to know. So let me go full screen over here. And we'll close this out. I don't know if it's going to let me change the resolution because we're in 4K, which is a little hard for me to read. Display settings. Oh yeah, we're good. 1920 by 1080. So let's just pretend that we all don't have our own Mara that can do our research, and we need to research it ourselves. So GMKtec K15 drivers, right? And right there, very first link takes us to gmktec.com. We'll click on that. Oh, this is interesting. We're looking for a well, it's a NucBox K15. It looks like it's alphabetized in numeral order. Never miss push notification. Yeah, no thank you. So just click anywhere to get rid of that. K15. So K's, oh, I guess it's not in alphabetical order because that's M. I guess in their alphabet, K comes after M. K15. Okay. Click download. For what? 2026 version. Of what? Of what? Oh, are you kidding me? I got to go all the way to the top to figure out what this row is? Okay, the first is operating system, software update. Drivers is the middle. See, that should stay at the top of the screen. I don't know why they didn't code the HTML correctly. So drivers, now go find the K15 again. Stupid. K15. Why are there 2 of K15s? Why are there 2? Click download, download. Google Drive. Oh, okay. So if the Google Drive has been expended for the amount of bandwidth for 24 hours, you can fall back to a duplicate onto OneDrive. I see. And we want the middle one because we can't read up here anymore what these are, but it was the middle one. So Google Drive or OneDrive. Let's try OneDrive. K15 drivers.zip download. So this isn't how I would have designed this website. What I would have done, because I'm the kind of guy that likes to keep things simple, I would have made sure that this part of the website does not move. You see how GMKtec stays up here? It's not like they don't know how to do that. So this information should have been below this line. So as you scroll through it, this list would be half as long if you simply put OneDrive / Google Drive on the same line. And then one link took you to OneDrive, one link took you to Google Drive, and now you can reduce the duplicate lines where that's the only difference is the location. You had plenty of room to add the words OneDrive in this box and get rid of this line altogether. So I don't like the logic of whoever put this together. They literally put it together without any thought. And this would have been much better condensed down, and it wouldn't be so overwhelming of a list to try and dig through to find your model either. So, you know, I can complain about it, but it won't make a difference. I'll let GMKtec know my thoughts, but I don't expect them to even listen. We bought these units. GMKtec did not send them. So I don't expect GMKtec to give a rat's behind what I think. But I'll still tell them. I'll still tell them anyway. At least that way they can't claim they didn't know, right? That we know that they're doing this on purpose. Did we get our drivers? We got them. Let's open that up and extract them. And while that's extracting, we can close everything else out and get rid of all the clutter. And then we'll see how this works for our device manager. Hopefully we've got all the right drivers in there. All right. What does this look like? Oh, all I got to do is read that. This was something I wish Minis Forum would do. You see it says all driver install. Double click on that and click run. And it shows 16 different drivers in there. And it's doing it the old school way, which is basically, you know, forget the graphical user interface and the pretty colors and little bar graphs. Let's just get to the text of the processing the way all computers used to work back in the day with DOS. There may be some of these drivers we actually don't need to put on, but it shouldn't hurt anything to add them. More importantly, I just don't want anything left over unidentified. So if it's putting some drivers in it doesn't need, it won't hurt anything. But if it doesn't have the drivers it needs, then something's not fully working until the driver's added. So the idea is that when you download this package, it should have everything you need in there. And then we would, you know, go in folder by folder, which sucks. Just have it install all should be universally accepted by all manufacturers. But some manufacturers don't even have a website for you to download the drivers. You're on your own. Like Good Tico, we had to get the drivers from somebody else because Good Tico does not offer them. But we spent less for it. But we got less. We had to go and source the drivers from someone else, and we had to do that work. This wasn't any work at all. Just type in the search, there it is, download it, extract it. And that's included in the price. I'm kind of curious if we watch the device manager while this is installing, will we see devices go away? Bluetooth, only sideband. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, look at that. It just dropped 1, 2, 3, 4 as it's processing in the background. It's doing the NPU driver. We're down to 3. We're down to 2. Look at that. Still at 2. Oh, now we're just down to a network controller. Right there. Oh, and just as I click, no, now we got a Bluetooth adapter. Hold on. Boom. Look at that. Look at that. So now if I minimize, reopen that, like this. Nothing is missing anymore. Beautiful. It completed perfectly. Driver install done. Press any key to exit. Okay. That's the way it's supposed to work. And restart the computer. Now, if everything looks good, it would be safe to go ahead and buy our license key and activate Windows, but there's no hurry on it. Windows works 100% without a license key indefinitely. It'll just keep popping up a notice, and it won't let you change wallpaper or make other personalizations, but it'll run all the software, and there's no performance degradation or punishment in any way, shape, or form. Bada boom, bada bing. Now, fan mode button, what the heck does that do? If I push fan mode, oh, this fan is RGB. You can barely see it, maybe in a dark room. And what fan mode is doing is it's cycling the RGB colors. Let me cut some studio lights and see if I can show you, because, well, first of all, let me just verify the device manager first.
Did you say RGB is on that thing?
It has RGB.
Oh my gosh.
Do me a favor, hit the lights over there for me, will you? And hit on the remote, not the top button, but the button below the top button. That should shut that light off. No, you're on the right remote. The button, you see the power button in the very top? Don't hit the power button. This is what you shut the fan off. Push the number 4, turn the fan back on. And then below the power button, directly beneath it, should shut the light off. Press and release. There you go. And then I'll shut the studio light out.
Is that so complicated?
Because it's Carrie. And let's go full screen on camera 1. Actually, let's go to camera 2. That's probably better. I'll hit the button and see if you see the colors changing. That is quite subtle. Can you see it?
No.
How about?
Your hand is covering it.
No, it's.
Well, I'm looking over here.
Look in here.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking, but your hand is covering it. Oh, that's really stupid.
See the green?
I mean, yeah, I see it
the
now.
Blue?
But look how close I'm having to get, right?
Well, maybe you got to work in the dark.
Oh, that's just dumb.
I think if I hold the button down, will it just turn? Yeah, that turns RGB off. Problem solved.
That's just dumb. That's just dumb.
Yeah, well, it's not like I paid extra for it. All right. With that, let's get rid of camera 2.
Put the light back on?
Yes, please. Let me get the studio light back on too. And then hit that same button below the power. Just press and release. Perfect, thank you. All right, lighting is back up. So the question now is, what kind of performance are we going to get from, let's say, Crystal Disk Info? Well, that's going to be based on how much money we spent on a drive. All right, so that's not on GMKtec, but we can verify that we are getting Gen 4 speeds, which I expect we will. The fan mode button obviously doesn't control the speed of the fan. It's just really not the fan mode. It's RGB mode, which is what that should say. But with regards to noise and cooling, we'd have to run, Cinebench on it, and that's going to take a half an hour, which we don't have time to do today. So I think we're going to come back and we'll do a part 2 on this and evaluate the BIOS. We'll evaluate the noise, we'll evaluate the temps of running those extreme tests on it, and we'll verify that our Crystal Disk mark matches the numbers we want to see of the S880 we've installed, that it falls within the range that drive is supposed to deliver, which I'll be shocked if it doesn't. I'm relatively 99.9% sure that that's going to run exactly like you think it will. You've got the 3 M.2 slots that are all Gen 4x4, and you've got the Oculink, which is surprising because that's like another M.2 slot. And you've got the Wi-Fi card, which is like another M.2. That's 5. That's a lot of bandwidth for that CPU. You won't see this on budget computers because those budget CPUs don't have that ability. They don't have that many lanes to traffic. So for that much traffic, you pay more, you get more. Now, whether or not you use it, I can't say. So it seems like a hell of a good deal. And this thing looks pretty sturdy. This looks like you could throw it across the room and it wouldn't hurt it. That's all metal on the outside. Not that I recommend throwing it across the room, but I'm saying worst case scenario, tornado hits your house and blows everything out. You find this out in the field, it'll probably still power on. Ghost Shadow said it was changing color on the bottom. Was it? I didn't think the fan on the bottom had any RGB. No, there's no RGB on that fan. It's not changing on the bottom. It does have rubber feet on the side. That means you can set this up this way. And then of course it's got the feet down here on the bottom. So either way you can set that. You don't have to worry about, you know, upsetting it or causing any issues with cooling. The rubber feet indicate that the manufacturer finds it 100% acceptable to place it on those rubber feet or on these rubber feet. It's a nice touch. Luke Greeny says, Carrie, once I got the wife's bookmarks and documents installed on the new Firebat laptop, and I installed RoboForm for her. She's been using it since yesterday, and she's loving the laptop. Wonderful. That's great news. Is that laptop for under $400? You get a full laptop with a warranty? I'd be curious what she thinks of the battery life if she uses the laptop portable. But we're off to a good start. You couldn't ask for a better start than that, right? Appreciate the follow-up, Luke. In the chat, Mental6666 says, do you still have a referral link to RoboForm? My last referral form expires. My last referral from you expires after 5 years. The referral is just for new purchases, not for renewals. Roboform.com/carry. That's why no coupon codes were needed back then or ever. You just went to the right URL. But if you've already got it and you're looking for a renewal, we don't have any referrals for renewals. Unfortunately, RoboForm isn't interested. And you know, we've let them know if they change their mind, we're sure we can give them a boost of sales. But they kind of feel like people are going to pay the renewal and they're not going to pay it. And they're kind of digging their heels in the ground. I don't know. I mean, I understand they need to make money and they need to stay in business. But I also understand an incentive for loyalty. It's their company, and I like their company, but I don't agree on their marketing. So all I can do is just let them know they're always welcome to come on the show at any point. And if they ever want to get a big influx of cash in, just offer a discount to my viewers for renewals, and you will get a sudden flow of cash in. And they said, okay, good to know. And I said, okay, well, you reach out to me if you change your mind. Andy said he didn't have any problem finding the drivers he needed. Yeah, on GMKtec. Different story with other manufacturers you witnessed here, right? Ghost Shadow said, I really hate Windows Update at the moment. One laptop somehow killed audio drivers, and another laptop will not show anything on the display after the update. So it's sort of like saying, I really hate the vaccination for the disease. You know, if you have a pre-existing condition and now that vaccination has caused your pre-existing condition to come forward, it's not the vaccination's fault. You just didn't know of your pre-existing conditions. Those laptops had pre-existing conditions that were there this whole time and you were unaware of it. And Windows Update didn't break it. Windows Update exposed it. That's should be thankful to Windows Update that you've been using laptops that have been broken this whole time. For how long, I don't know. But Windows Update just did you a significant favor by pointing out an error that you didn't know you were having this whole time. So to resolve these issues is really simple. Identifying the problem, step one. Just because you didn't identify it didn't mean it wasn't there this whole time. That's all I'm trying to say. Windows Update very rarely causes problems. So much more so is what it does is exposes problems you didn't know you had. If it were me, I'd be thanking Windows Update. I didn't know until Windows Update pointed it out that my machine wasn't set up correctly. Now, to fix those problems, we're happy to help you. If you want to reach out to us in an email, give us the make and model of the laptop and we can walk you through some steps. One at a time. We'll get one working, we'll get the other one. And just reach out to us in email. We're happy to help you. Our email address right there on the screen. And I'll show you it's not a Windows Update problem. You can watch this channel, go back as far as you want to go, and show me any video where Windows Update ever damaged a computer. Show it to me once. Prove me wrong. But these are new computers mostly. That's right. What does that tell you? When the computer's set up properly, Windows Update works. Mostly. There's some exception, but it's pretty rare. And when the user gets a hold of it and starts monkeying around and they don't do things right, they don't want to take responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault. Couldn't have been me. And yet here we are, live, unscripted. We've run Windows Update today, we run it yesterday, we run it the day before. It never, ever creates a problem for us. Never. Do me a favor. Explain that to me. So identifying that you have a problem you didn't know you had is a good thing, at least in my opinion. Just because I didn't know I had it doesn't mean it wasn't there. So if you could nip that in the bud, well, it's an early problem, like, oh, my screen doesn't display after a Windows Update. Think about how much worse that could have been if Windows Update never applied. And then you have a much bigger issue in the future, and that'll be far, far more difficult to diagnose. Again, 10% of life is what happens to you. 90% of your life is going to be the attitude you voluntarily choose to take in response. I'm looking at it as a good thing. You see it as a bad thing. I look at it as making me aware of something I may have caused. You're looking at it as punishment that was unjustly bestowed upon you that you don't deserve. That is all somebody else's fault. We're looking at this we're looking at the exact same 10%, but we're responding, that 90% response, we couldn't be more diametrically opposed. Is that the right word? We are 100% opposite. Some people hear opportunity knocking and they complain about the noise. What can you do? Manuel wants to know, how would it be Microsoft when I got a black screen of death all the time when a BIOS flash fixed it completely? There could be an update, and it, you know, how often do you ever hear of anybody having that problem? It's pretty rare. One of the ways you avoid that is by making sure your computer stays up to date. Why have you never seen that happen on this channel? Why has it only happened to you or a small select group of people? Because you guys aren't setting you're being reactive, you're not being proactive, and as a result, you're blaming somebody else for that choice you made. If there is a new BIOS available, I always recommend installing it proactively so you don't have to deal with what it fixes. But if you wait until you need it, so you're blissfully unaware that there's been a BIOS update available for months or years that you never could be bothered to be looking into, it took something to happen to you for you to open your eyes and be aware of it. That's whose fault is that? If you've got anybody to blame, it's the manufacturer for not kicking out an email or something to make you aware of it. But if you've been following my channel, you know to be self-reliant and not rely on others to provide your solutions. Do it yourself, and you'll have a consistent working computer, very rarely ever crashing. And all you have to do is watch my videos. We've been making videos since 2008. If you see a pattern of Windows updates creating problems I have to resolve, please send me the links to my own videos that demonstrate that. We've got over 1,500 videos. Enjoy your research. Let me save you some time. We don't have those problems. Stay away from third-party software unless you absolutely need it, especially if it's a system utility. Keep that crap off your system. Keep the crap of start menu modifications off your system, context menu modifications. If it's not coming from Microsoft, you are playing with fire. And it may not burn you right away. It may just be an ember that glows in the corner. And when your house is on fire, it's still your fault. So if you are willing to accept your role in it, then have fun. But if you want to blame somebody else, you know, what does that say? You know, you could have avoided the problem. But you had the problem, and the fix was a BIOS update. That's not Microsoft's fault, is it? Microsoft didn't make your BIOS. And if you don't take care of it, who will? Andy said it's a real pleasure to work with a manufacturer that has a decent product support site, but you pay extra for that. The same person will say, they cost too much. I can go on AliExpress and get something similar for less. Their brain doesn't compute that it's not the same. Manuel says he's got a Gigabyte X870 Aorus Elite. They keep releasing crap lately. They are at F12B. None of those BIOSes that they're releasing publicly are shady. If the BIOS is available on the website in beta, then it's damn near finished. It's usually a formality to make it from beta to public. The real betas, the ones that are truly experimental, you can't just download those. The only way you would get that is you're working for the company, or you're having a unique problem that BIOS happens to fix, and they will email you, and just you, and others suffering that problem, that beta BIOS. That would be one where you got to be like, I don't know. But if it's something you can download off a website from the manufacturer, then it's just a formality that it didn't go through all the certifications. And the reason they do that is so they get the fix out there. And the fix could be for the latest AMD CPUs to be recognized, or new RAM modules for compatibility to work. And so if it's that situation and you're not changing your RAM and you're not upgrading your chip, then those beta BIOSes don't really benefit you, but they shouldn't hurt you either. But the reason they're not certified yet is it takes time. And in that time, that remains a problem for the people affected until such a time that they release it. So to get it out there faster, they go, look, we believe this is 100% working, but we haven't verified it. That takes too much time. So rather than make you wait 6 months for us to verify it, you can download it right now. It should be fine. If it isn't, let us know. But most of the time, it's fine. If I was you, I'd be downloading those beta BIOSes. But that's just me. That could be the worst advice anybody ever gave you. But that's how we do things here. People make a big deal like you're running some risky beta BIOS. If it was risky, it would not be publicly available, period. It's just a cover your ass legality liability disclaimer that they put out there. It's not for you. That's for them. That's their disclaimer. It's not for you. If the BIOS was dangerous and can break their products, resulting in warranty returns, that's going to cost them money. Why would they do that? So don't hesitate to download those beta BIOSes that are publicly downloadable from the manufacturer. They're just missing the formality of the final checks, which means there could be something wrong with it, but there probably isn't. Or don't. If you don't want to be proactive, don't be. I don't care. That's not how I run my business. If I had your computer here, you would have that BIOS on it, and you wouldn't have any problems with it. But if that doesn't work that way in your world, have fun in your world, man. I'm just telling you, as a professional in this industry for 35 years, if you want to dismiss the information I'm giving you, go right ahead. Makes no difference to me. David Martinez says, Carrie, the computer store you did the video on in the past, is it still in business? Yeah, of course. They've been in business for like 20 years. Emerald Computers, they've got 2 stores. They've been around a couple decades. They're not going anywhere. Anyway, you do what you want with your computer. I'm just here to help. If you want to resist the help, resist it. I'm okay with it. But then when you come crying to me as you're like a victim because you're so afraid to do anything, well, stop being so afraid. Well, I did this once and it didn't work out. Well, I guess never do it again then. You know, sometimes it takes practice and you've got to repeat things, and it's not always going to go smooth, and it's not the end of the world. And if that's like a nightmare for you, then don't do it. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm saying if it was mine, that's what I would do. All I'm saying. You don't have to push back. You can just say thank you for the information. You'll get a much different response from me. All right. So anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. And that is going to wrap it up. I hope I got to everybody's questions today. Talking about, there's still some discussion about the RoboForm renewals. So let's come back. Let's do a part 2 on this. Maybe maybe next Wednesday, because I want to introduce a couple other mini PCs on Friday, one on Friday and one on Sunday. Monday will be members only. And then we'll do the same machine again. We'll follow up with our testing a week from today. That'll be perfect. Then the next Friday and Sunday will be, again, a couple new mini PCs. Unless something else comes in for us to repair, upgrade, or review. That is my tentative schedule right now. We have another GMKtec waiting for review, but I don't want to do a bunch of GMKtecs all at once. We have Cub, we have AOStar, and I want to just kind of pepper them around. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and then come back around again. Rather than GMKtec, or Minisforum. I'm trying to add a lot of variety and different pricing and different platforms so you see what options are available. That way we're not alienating anybody and we're not showing any favoritism to any manufacturer. That's the logic I've got. If there's a mini PC you want us to look at, if we can afford it, let us know. Because I'm looking for different manufacturers like Glorlin. We've got a Glorlin PC coming that's made by Gatorly under a different name. It's a pretty cheap computer, inexpensive computer. It looks promising for people on a budget. Will I still feel the same after I review it? You're going to have to tune in to find out. That'll be the only Glorlin computer we've ever reviewed. And other manufacturers like AOStar, Minisforum, Ace Magic, GMKtec, you may see a variety of those because they offer a variety of choice. So I'm trying not to have any favoritism to any of these manufacturers, although personally I am biased towards Minisforum. But I'm warming up to these GMKtecs. These are actually pretty well built and pretty solid pricing.
Glorlin has arrived also.
Oh, we got 2 mini PCs. Mm-hmm. So we have a Camrui and a Glorlin and the Cub and the AOStar and the other GMKtec.
Whatever's in this, which is...
That's Gatorade. It's pretty bizarre that I can order Gatorade on Amazon for $1 to $2 cheaper and have it arrive at my door for free the next day. than if I drove to the grocery store and paid upwards of $3 to $4 or even just $1 more to have to drive over there, get it, put it in the cart, check it out, put it in the car, drive it home, get it out of the car, just to spend more money and more time. I don't know how the economics of Amazon are working, but why do I want to go to the store when it can come to me and it costs me less money and I don't have the expense of gas and time? I don't understand how that math works, but I'll take it. So when the Gatorade arrives, I get like 2 of them, and there's 24 bottles in a 2-pack. That's pretty heavy for a little dainty Mara to pick up. She's tiny. All right. All right. That's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Buster, as always, for your continual support and your friendship. And I'm sorry you didn't get much sleep and you weren't feeling good today, but hopefully you'll feel better tomorrow. And I'm sure you'll be watching this video then, so I'll say hello to you in the future. And let me check the email real quick before we wrap up. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. We might disagree on things, but I definitely don't want to disrespect anybody. And I always have appreciation for all the people that support us here, because we would not exist without you. Yeah, just Buster today. Thank you guys so much. I love hanging out with you guys. Let's take a look real quick at the super chats too, because I noticed we had at least one. Oh, Manuel sent us a super chat of €2. Thank you, Manuel. And Jose with a $1 super chat today. Thank you guys for your support. I consider those as like tips, never expected, but always appreciated. And then that's how we were able to afford to buy this stuff. And that's how we were able to afford to buy the RAM and storage when it went on sale, and why we have extra. Now it's not extra anymore. It's in this unit. This is a unit I will probably keep because it's an ideal solution for my business clients. But a lot of the units you'll see here, we sell them. And if you're interested in buying one of the units you see here, reach out to our email address. We handle all of those transactions privately. We don't need to get anybody else involved or get anybody angry or feel anything's unfair if it's not involving them. So again, our email address, if you want to talk about private business matters, right there. We'd love to work with you. You do have to be in the United States. Other than that, when we sell the units, we just take that money and roll it back to buying another unit. Because we're not getting the review units hand over fist like we used to. And I still want to keep doing this job. So this is how I have to do even more now just to keep doing. That's how much passion and enthusiasm I have for this, that I'm spending my own money to keep making content that ultimately loses me money. But at the end of the day, if it can pay the bills at the end of the month, and I'm happy, like I'm enjoying what I do, well, I'm going to do it as long as I can. And thankfully, with the generosity of our community, we wouldn't be here. I'm telling you, there's no way. So my deepest, most heartfelt appreciation to everybody, including people that are not in green here, that just join us as part of our community, because it's such a pleasure to have everybody here regardless. But it's those contributions from the generous folks that even make this kind of stuff possible to do for content. So you can imagine how I feel about that, right? All right, that'll wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll follow up part 2 a week from today and run the tests on it and see what the fan noise and temps look like. I expect it's going to be great. I expect everything's going to be great. And what I expect and what I get might be 2 different things, so we're going to verify. But right now, if you said would I recommend this, yeah, absolutely. If you've got the RAM and the storage, that's a great deal. If you have got to go buy the RAM and the storage, you might look at a different model that has, soldered on RAM. Probably be cheaper. That's going to wrap it up. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all again on Friday, where we have a mini PC review coming up. And if you have questions or you want to reach out to us, please do in the meantime with the email address. Thanks to Mara for all the work she does in the background. Thanks to our friends at VIP URCD Keys for continuing to offer those legal, legitimate license keys to all of you at the same price I pay. You don't have to buy in bulk, and you don't have to buy from shady sellers, and you don't have to buy from questionable sources like stolen goods. You can get real thing with confidence, knowing that you're going to do it once and be taken care of. These days, it's getting rarer and rarer to find online, isn't it? What else? Am I missing anything? I hope not. All right, I hope to see you back here on Friday, 1 o'clock Pacific time. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.